Good evening, everyone. Today, December 7th, 2022. All right, and I am on Facebook Live on December 7th, 2022. I am also on Zoom. I put the Zoom link up like I do every week on either Monday or Tuesday. And it's the same passcode, the same code we use over and over again. So everyone knows I do these calls on Wednesday night. So let me say this before we get started. When I won the election in May of 2021, and I went into office June 30th, they used to call it Stewart calls, but I wanted to open up to everyone equally. And I see Annika Walls. How you doing, Annika? All right, so I wanted to open up the calls equally to everyone on Wednesday night. So that's why I changed the name, or should I say I created a new name when I took office, and we called it Local 1000 Listens to You. So, and then later on, I believe Annika asked me either in July, either June or July, she said, listen, I would like to do calls on a Tuesday night. And so she came up with her name, Local 1000 Speaks on it, which is fine, because she wouldn't do it just for Stewarts. So when I was doing my calls, when I was at the building, they were open to everybody, and I do it on Facebook. I do it on Zoom, and then I also put up on my YouTube account, Richard Lewis Brown, or on my website, Create Excellence 7437. So if you can't catch it live, you can watch it on Facebook. If you don't do social media, catch it on YouTube. If you don't do YouTube, you can catch it on my website. So when people say, hey, I'm not informed of what's going on with the union, I would say there's more than one avenue. When I was your president, and I'm still your president, even though they tried to do this suspension of me, I give you multiple avenues so you have all the information. And I do things transparently. And as I told you a long time ago, I am the original transparent leader of Local 1000. They've never had a transparent leader like that before. So what we're going to do, we're going to go back in the past for a second. And you'll see how everything ties in when I do this. This is me back in 2015. And my running mate at that time was Jackie McCullum. And it says here, when I ran for president of Local 1000 the first time, it says Richard Lewis Brown for SEIU Local 1000. And it says, let's change our union through courage, integrity, and vision. I never changed. At that time, I thought we had a union, but we never had a union. I was wrong. But that's why I said, let's change. So when you always hear people say about change this and change that, that's where it came from. Because I was campaigning in October of 2014 going forward. Actually, that's when I met Annika later on in, I think, the early part of December of 2014. All right. So it says courage, integrity, and vision. Courage. True leaders with absolute steadfast courage, integrity, and vision to lead the successful fight for SEIU Local 1000 members. We will fight for sustainable wages, enforcing union contracts, for eliminating side letter agreements, and for requiring union ratification on all wage issues. No backroom deals. Integrity. Uncompromising integrity to ensure the union voice of our members is heard and reflected through a state-of-the-art real-time voting process for union contracts and union officer elections. Listen to how I said this. This was done actually in 2014. I was handing them out in 2014 and 2015. Actually, I started handing them out in 2015. It says, your vote matters. I said this back in 2014 and 2015. Amazing. And then I talked about the vision. My vision for Local 1000 when I ran for president. And it says, the vision to ensure long-term visibility for SEIU Local 1000 by increasing our membership through recruitment, loyalty, commitment, and service to all state workers regardless of their job status as the number one priority by ensuring transparency in all financial matters. I was saying all this. This is my 2015, and I called it a little flyer. It's kind of big. But I kept this because this is something you document to show that I was sincere. Now, I have courage, integrity, vision. CIV plus T, transparency. The definition of transparency is operating in such a way that it is easy for others to see what actions are performed. This is how I said this. The definition of transparency, I should have said true transparency, is operating in such a way that it is easy for others to see what actions are performed. We believe in transparency in order to eliminate the perception of voter fraud in both our union electoral process and union contract ratification. Now, I had announced, I believe, July 1st or July 12th of 2012 that I was going to run for president in 2015. And then I came up with this big flyer. And as you'll see, here's the funny thing, and this is why I'm talking about the past, because if you don't understand your past, then you can't really, quote, understand your present to prepare for the future. So I said in 2015, 21 dynamic changes. I used the word change because I told you at that time I thought we had a union. That's why I said SEIU, Local 1000. After 2015, I never used SEIU ever again because I realized that we don't have a union. We have a social justice organization that works in secrecy, that funds money to the Democrats, to the Democratic Party, and to all the Democratic politicians. But at this time, I didn't realize that. But I said 21 dynamic changes. I won the election when? 2021. There's your 21 dynamic changes when I won the election, and I didn't even realize I was predicting the future, foreseeing the future when I win the election. Some people said I won in 2018. That's another story. All right. So it says vision. Listen to how I said this. Because at that time, I was all about the members. It wasn't until I realized that, hey, some people can't afford to pay. Because I was still so smart, so educated. Anyway, it says vision. Make our members the number one priority before outside interests. Now I said before outside interests. So money, pay raises, I said COLA, and job representation. Established by union vote ratification. Wow. I said established by union vote ratification to term limits for all union elected positions. 2-term max. So a lot of times when people say, oh, Richard, you're just this new person, I've been saying this for years. I've stayed consistent. And I know when I've made some slight alterations. All right. Then it says, ensure that SEIU Local 1000 staff receive the same retirement as state employees. I came so close. The current UAW 2350 Local 1000 staff, they have a great retirement. It's as good as ours? Not quite. Could they have gotten that? Yes, they could have. All right, let's continue. Hire trained, highly skilled professional union contract negotiator. Okay? And then it says, now listen to this. Now all these D-birds who claim they don't like me, who said that I'm trying to destroy their lives. Listen to what I said. Ensure that district bargaining unit representatives work 8 hours maximum in contract negotiations. You don't work no 10, 12, or 14 hours in a day or 18 hours in a day to where you just give up and then the state wins over what they want to do. Because they exhaust you mentally. I said this back in 2015. The reason why I'm taking time to explain these things to you and I can answer any questions for anybody, because I'm sincere. I am truly sincere. Everyone please mute themselves. Okay. So I am truly sincere in what I'm saying. And then I also talk about change the direction, perception, and trajectory of our union by focusing solely on our member needs. Because remember, I thought at that time we did have a union, but we never have. All right. Now listen to what I said. This is in 2015. I said, eliminate the leadership apprentice programs for stewards, the LAPS program. I said eliminated it. Eliminated it. What I should have said was when they passed the LAPS program, they passed it illegally. This is where the board of directors shows their hypocrisy. When they first started the LAPS program, the board never voted on that. They just passed it. And then later on, I think the board voted on it. But initially, they just passed it. They said, this is what we're going to do. That was Tamika Robinson. See, when I tell you things, you don't have to second guess. You don't have to think. I'm going to tell you the truth. If they would be transparent and open up the books and show you everything in the union, then you would know how right I really am. And then you would understand why they're trying to remove me from office. Moving on. And then I said, replace the LAPS training with 1 week of paid, I said paid, union leave for classroom training for member ratified new steward certification. Okay. Then I said, generate a significant change in financial spending. Then I got down to the integrity. Wow. So this was my first 9. My first 9 things was in my vision. So when you see the number 743 squared, when you take 3 and you square it, now you see the 9 for the vision. All right. Integrity. Hire and realign Local 1000 staff members to handle grievances in a more efficient and effective manner. And when I was elected, that's what we did. We went to a, quote, representational style organization. And so that we wasn't overworking our staff. And then now that they tried to remove me, now they're trying to go back to that political organizing thing. Because SEIU International needs Local 1000 to build up more membership so they can get more money from us, because the more members we have, the more money they get per capita off of us. You didn't know that? You didn't know that? Okay, keep listening. All right. Then I said engage in real conversations to eliminate wasteful spending. Then I did something for, this is for Caltrans. All meeting confers will be decided according to our union contract policies. GPS vehicle monitoring program. So at that time, there was some conflict going on. So we said, hey, every time there's a contract problem, we got to do a meet and confer. At that time, sometimes they would do things and not do a meet and confer that conflicted with our contract. All right. Thank you, Monica, for saying that. I'm trying to keep up with the people on Facebook while I explain this. Because we're going to get to why they don't respect the members' voices when they voted me in as president. Then I said, promote union morale by establishing trust and respect. You say, what's so big about the trust? This past board meeting they had, December 4th, 3 and 4, but the board meeting for the board was December 4th. No one saw anything. They claimed that everything was done in executive session. So they couldn't tell you anything. Okay? Now that's what they claim. But this is my campaign brochure from 2015. And if you notice, I was young at that time. I had a lot of weight on me at that time. I think I had a girlfriend at that time. All right. So you'll notice on this flyer that there's no union print label. And someone from the hardware store said, hey, where's your union print label? Because you're supposed to be using union resources at all times when available. And that person at the hardware store, I'll call it Mr. Johnson's hardware store, he said, if you're going to be the union president and you're campaigning, why don't you have a union print label on your material so that we know that you practice what you preach? He's right. And then look at my 2018 and 2021 campaign brochures. There's a union print label. And they try to tell people in 2018 that I used the label that I was with the right to work. Even though my information, it was printed in New York, there's a union print label. And in my 2021 campaign brochure, I told that company, that union company, put your phone number or whatever on there. Or say, put legally printed. So we can stop all these lies. Moving on. Now, that integrity was 4 things. So when you see 7437, you see the 4 for the integrity. That started in 2015. Now, here's the courage. That comes back to 3. See how my number is 7437 that keeps showing up and showing up? And of course, today is December 7th. All right, so here we go. Courage. Enforce union contracts. Enforce. So when I was elected, I said, I'm going to enforce our contract. And you're not just going to, quote, shut down the California Correctional Center because those people have jobs. We have a contract. And even though it says in that contract that the state can just take jobs away, there was no way that prison should be closing because they were closing it illegally. I can't remember the penal code that they were violating. And now that particular prison, California City Correctional Prison, that's a leased prison, they're trying to close that sometime down the road, along with Chickawa, I believe. All right. Anyway, no signed letter agreements. Why did I say that in 2015? Because in 2012, we had a signed contract and we voted to give up our money. Why did they do that? That was dumb. But that was for the Democrat, Jerry Brown. After we had given up 1 day of pay in 2010 for that contract, 2010 to 2013, we give up 1 day of pay per month for Jerry Brown, because he had won the election in November 2010. And then, while under that signed contract, he comes back in 2012 and says, I need 1 more day. But many of you have forgotten that. I don't forget when it comes to money. Here we go, moving on. That says, establish that union leadership answers to its members. Well, we know that Local 1000 doesn't answer to its members because we voted for a president, Richard Lewis Brown, and now the board is trying to remove the president. And that's already been predetermined. And I'll show you here in a second. Stay with me. Stay with me. Hold on, put your hand down, Yolanda, because I'm going to talk for a little bit. All right, so here we go. Never, listen to this. Never advocate job loss for student assistants or retired annuitants. Our union was saying get rid of the student assistants and the retired annuitants years ago. And I said, why would you say that to the young people, the student assistants, who are going to come work for the state one day? Because they're going to be anti-union. That doesn't show your vision. Why would you say get rid of the retired annuitants when many of them were dues-paying members? Why would you say that? Why would you ever advocate for job loss at all in this country if you're pro-union? The key is not pro-union or you're pro-labor. You never advocate for no one's job to be lost. Now we get back to the last 4. Is it 1, 2, 3, 4? No, we went to a 5th one. Transparency from 17 through 21. I went 1 step more. Transparency. Establish new transparency in union voting and financial statements. The credit card statements I put up when they said I was the one wilding out, you have not seen any more credit card statements since they've removed me from office. Have you? And you won't unless I'm put back in. Okay? And so when I said when I took office, I would not take a salary stipend, many of you laughed and said, yes, he will. But I didn't. Because I'm a man of integrity, sincerity. And I did not sign for the VPs to take a salary stipend. That's when the trouble really kind of got started. They were already talking about removing me from office before I was sworn in on June 27th and took office on June 30th of 2021. Annika and her group were already having their phone calls sometime in May and June about removing me from office using the HR1 process. And you heard different DLC presidents tell you this on my April 20th, 2022 Courage of Convictions video. You know what? You're not going to see Annika's credit card statements. She's not going to show them to you. So they don't need the salary stipend now. They get the credit card statements to do what they want to do. All right, moving on. Publish and distinguish the 3 classes within our union: dues-paying members, fair share fee payers, and non-germane objectors. That was at that time. Educate union members on the vital importance of our union. Okay. Publish. Now, I tried to do this, and the staff wasn't really working with me. Publish all member questions to the union along with their answers on our union website to promote transparency and accountability. So if you call the URC and they tell you something, they got to put it in writing and put it up on their website. They never wanted to do that. It says it would slow them down. Yeah, I bet it would slow you down. But some people call the MRSC and get told one thing. Somebody else calls the MRSC and gets told something else. That's wrong. And then I said, establish videotaping for quarterly general councils for transparency. Record all the meetings of the board. Now, why did I take time to explain this to you? At that time, in 2015, we had our meetings for our DLC presidents and bunk chairs and 4 statewide officers. They were called general councils. And the whole E-board could go to the general council because we had a lot of money back then. When they decided to, quote, start referring themselves as the board of directors, and the board of directors is going to do all this stuff, what they were really telling you is, we're going to take even more from our membership. So when people say, Richard, you were elected, I can't understand how they're trying to remove you. Because what they're trying to tell you is, we don't care about no president and what the members voted on. We don't care what the policy file and the bylaws said when Richard Lewis Brown took office in 2021, that he had the powers to get things done. I didn't change those bylaws and policy file. That was set up for the former president so she could do what she needed to do to get things done. To get things done for who? Who knows? But you know, with those powers, I was going to get things done for you. So the board said, we don't care what the membership said. If we got the majority vote, we'll get rid of Richard. And by getting rid of me, even though they're violating the California Corporations Code, by trying to get rid of me, what they're really saying is they don't care about you and they don't want you to get a 21% pay increase with GO pay and COLA. And of course, the essential worker premium pay $10,000. And so I put up on my Facebook page just now, R.L. Brown or Richard Durrell 7437. I put up on my Facebook page all the questions you should ask Irene Green tomorrow night. She won't give you direct answers. Now, I'll put the questions up tonight, so she should be able to research and have the answers by tomorrow. But she's going to have a problem, and I already know it. Because when it comes to honesty and sincerity, remember, because first you got to have courage to represent people and lead people. But you got to have the integrity and the vision to do those things through transparency. So when you heard, quote, MTC, Members for Transparency and Change, when they came out in 2015 in January or February, they were copying what I had already laid down. You said, well, they copied you, the Members for Transparency and Change? Yes. The same way they're copying me now. Not just Members for Transparency and Change, Annika Walls, and Kevin Menninger, David Jimenez, Ruth Albert, and all those people. But the other people are trying to copy me as well. But you can't really copy sincerity. Because your spirit within you will tell you, Richard may be a little different, but Richard's real. And I know with Richard, my money's protected. And I've asked people to take action. Let me get to this 2018, as I call it my quote, the dark-skinned Barack Obama. I was Mr. Perfect in 2018. Lost the election, but I never showed any emotion. I was always calm, cool, and collected. And as you'll see, I had my cookie commitment, big old cookie. They criticized me for that. Then I would show you. Now they always say we can't go on strike. Because I voted no against the contract of the 16 through 20, our former contract. I voted no, and I showed you. Because I'm not going to say that I'm transparent without me showing you my vote. What I was trying to do back in 2018 was unify our union before the Janus decision. And I said a one membership class application. Everyone gets treated the same way. And no, they said we can't go on strike. Richard Wade, we can't go on strike. I'm going to be professional tonight. But when you hear him say that on Facebook, here's my strike ballot about going on strike back in that time period. That was the, Yeah, that was in 2016. See, they tell you that I'm crazy, but I have all my information documented. Especially when I have time to really dig in. And I talk about a lot of different things. But this is my 2018. Now, my 2021 campaign, I used the same picture. I couldn't get my other pictures taken fast enough. And I was on a time crunch. This was Barack Obama, the dark-skinned one. This was me. This was the election that God said you'll win. This was the election where I said I give God all the justice, all the praise, all the credit through Jesus Christ. It was in the month of March, actually. I fell underneath the Holy Spirit when I was campaigning. A lot of information in both of these brochures. You say, well, can we see them? Go to my website, createexodus7437.com, because I'm transparent and I show you through documentation my mindset throughout all the years. And how I told you, if you notice, I didn't say SEIU anymore. Because SEIU International, they're not for you. And I'm going to tell you this later on here when we talk. They're not for you and they never have been. All they see in you is money. When they say in the email today, oh, International is loaning a person to help you. They didn't help us when I was leaving the union. We didn't need their help. And by the way, how are they loaning somebody with your money? Because you pay them money every month. They're not loaning you anything. If anything, they're paying you back the money you paid them. But I'm going to get to something deeper. And maybe someone will go on Facebook and look at those lists of questions for Irene Green on my R.L. Brown page. And maybe that's going to spark a conversation. And I put up some of her comments from that board meeting from October 16th, 2021. And I put up some other stuff too. Okay, so I've been talking for almost 30 minutes. And I know no one expected me to go back to the prior brochures, but I did that for a reason, because I'm trying to educate you. All right, so I saw a hand raise. Yolanda Williams, please go ahead, Yolanda.
Hold on.
Okay.
You can hear me, right?
Yes, loud and clear. Hello? 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 Okay, go ahead.
You can't hear me?
No. We didn't hear nothing you said.
I want to know about this attorney that is on your Facebook page saying that he's representing the local, and 42 of the people, like there are a lot of board members. There's a Robert Gilbert on there that's for DLC 721. And I'm just kind of curious. It says that he's representing them. So he's representing. We pay him for representing 42 people that is supposed to be, our representatives that's speaking for us. Because I'm kind of confused. That doesn't sound right. And then it goes on to say that you should, service him. But I'm not sure, you get something in writing to say that he's their attorney? Or is this you just supposed to go on his word? Can you explain?
All right. I didn't want to talk about this, but I did all this talk about transparency and courage, integrity, transparency, and blah, 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 blah. On Sunday, an attorney Leon Dayan, last name Dayan, sends me an email saying he's representing, from how I read it, Local 1000 and a number of defendants on a lawsuit that I filed against these individual board of directors, DLC presidents and bunk chairs. So he sends me an email saying that he's representing these people, the way I read it, and Local 1000, that it's okay that I don't have to serve these people at their homes. I don't have to serve them at their work sites, or, it's okay. So I responded back and I put it on Facebook because I want people to understand something. See, this is how when you keep talking with me, I'll catch people in their lies. Remember they told you that I wasn't transparent and I was crazy. So I put on Facebook that conversation with him saying, hey, if these DLC presidents and bunk chairs, if they say that it's okay, that I don't have to serve them, I can let Local 1000 serve them, then let them tell me. Why are you telling me? And if you are going to tell me this, then whatever you're telling me, put it in writing, like you asked, Yolanda, and send it to the court in Kern County so that the court knows what's going on. So that can be my proof of service. But he didn't do that. And then he said that I had misread on the second email. And so I fired back a second email and said, well, I don't think I misread. I don't. So first of all, he said he didn't like my characterization. But he emails me on a Sunday, Sabbath. Not on Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, 7 to 5. He emails me on a Sunday. Well, how do you know I'm not at church? How do you know I'm not watching the football game? How do you know that, I'm not doing some community activism? How do you know? You don't email me during the normal work hours? Well, he doesn't. So, maybe he knew about my praise God. Maybe he knew about my 2015 campaign when I said I'd work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I said that. So maybe he's calling me out on that. So anyway, he's upset. Okay, I got you. Someone's texting me. I got you covered. So he got upset because when I emailed him, I emailed Ann Giese, him, Glenn Rossner. He represents SEIU International. So how do I know Leon Dayan and Glenn Rossner so well? Because those attorneys are also representing Local 1000 and SEIU International regarding the lawsuit that Bill Hall has filed against me. DLC 744 President Bill Hall has filed against me. So now that they're helping him do that, well, he has his own attorney, Chris Kassenbach, until he passed away, unfortunately. God rest his soul. He passed away in September, I think, of this year. So they're representing. So you're asking, is our money being used for that? Yes. Yes, your money's being used for that. Your money's being used for that attorney, Leon Dayan. He's representing Local 1000 for the Bill Hall lawsuit against me. And now he's representing Local 1000 with my lawsuit against Bill Hall and a number of people on the board. I think it's 42 total. If you count Local 1000 as a party of interest, what do you get? You get your number 43, 7437. So, of course, today is December 7th. But yes, your money is being used on that. But I want people to know when I talk to these people and when I talk to him, I emailed the whole board so that they can't say they didn't know what was going on. Now, you said that he said he was going to represent all the board. No, because someone reached out to me and said, he's not trying to represent all 42. He's only representing 20, Richard. Read the names. Count them out. She's right. she's right. I can't catch everything. So the big question is, and I'm going to jump ahead of this for a second, Yolanda. The lawsuit for Local 1000 was served on, I believe, December 1st. And within 2 hours, SAC-B, Maya Miller, is trying to contact me. I was busy, so I didn't get a chance to talk to her. So she's trying to contact me about the lawsuit. So after the paperwork was dropped off, and those people, the servers, when they contacted me, within 2 hours, SAC-B is calling me. So this is to the people on Facebook who's been talking to Garth Underwood, talking about he doesn't like when we air out our dirty laundry. Let me tell you something, Garth Underwood. I didn't contact SAC-B. Who did? Did you contact SAC-B? Are you working on full-time and leaving the building? Because I didn't do it. I kept my mouth shut. But now that SAC-B wants to run the article, Yolanda, which I have right here in front of me, run that article, and then if you notice in the article, listen to this on the very first sentence. Ousted SEIU Local 1000 President Richard Louis Brown. I'm not ousted. I'm still the president. I may be on suspension unless the board has already predetermined, even before the HR1, the illegal HR1 process with the independent arbitrator, the black men on the East Coast, Homer LaRue, before they even went that far, they had already determined my fate. Let me stop for a second.
So then, wait a minute. So you said, so just in plain,
Mm-hmm.
they're gonna smother our voices, take our money, and have another attorney fight against you, who is our president, and basically we do nothing. We just sit. People are just sitting around saying, "Oh no," really? This is unheard of.
So, wait, hold on, I'm gonna cut you off. Someone on Facebook just said, so they're using the members' money who voted you in to be president to kick you out. I don't understand that process. No one asked the members, they just do what they want to do with our money. Yes, that is correct. Go ahead, Yolanda.
I would like to know, if I can, ask Facebook and anybody else who's on YouTube about DLC President Robert Gilbert. He said back in April of 21, when we had an exchange in an email, that everybody was surveyed. I never got a survey about how he should vote for you, and that most of the people didn't like you or whatever the outcome was, and he was going to vote that way. So I want to know, most of the people out there, Yolanda Williams, you can hit me up, you know what I'm saying? Email, but I just don't understand this, how can a DLC president say that he's sending out everything to the members in that DLC to figure out how to vote, but yet still a lot of people didn't get surveyed. So who are you surveying? Just the people in your little department, or are you surveying? You're not surveying nobody. You're just making your own decision when you go to the board. When you go to the meeting.
So
it just makes you say,
all right, I tell you what I'll do. Because I know that DLC 721 President Robert Gilbert is lying. I know that. So here's what I'll do. Because I talked for almost 30 straight minutes. I'm going to go to the next person, Yolanda, and then I'm going to try to double back to some things that you said. And then if you want to raise your hand again, Yolanda, feel free to raise your hand. I'm going to go to Derek Roque. Go ahead, Derek.
Good evening, Mr. President. Can you hear me?
Oh, loud and clear.
Oh, that's good. I got a lot. Well, I'm going to try and keep it, under the 2 minutes for the sake of time here, but there's a lot on my mind.
Well, you can always ask your first question or two, and then jump right back in line, and I'll come right back to you.
Well,
Okay.
I do have an ask, and it's of all the members
Okay.
who are just fed up with all this. You know, for so long now, we've been getting these emails, and I think the final straw for me was the email that went out last night, and you talked about it briefly earlier, about CCC and the other facility that are closing. It's almost sickening because it's almost as if they are proud to announce that these facilities are closing. They didn't give you any updates on them fighting to try to, keep those prisons alive. They didn't give you any updates whatsoever. And what happened? I thought that was the whole purpose of them going on this Norway trip in the summer. Annika and her cronies, I don't know who she brought with her, but they all went to Norway, and the plan was they were trying to figure out this prison reform. Well, how come we're closing our prisons out here now? Can someone answer that? And secondly, I'm going to make this quick. This is more of a comment, and I'm going to ask the members to please hear me out for just a brief moment here. A couple of weeks back, I was getting fed up. I have made multiple attempts to this union that I've given my money to for the last close to 8 years, and I feel like this is just becoming like a money laundering scheme or something now. I'm giving my money to these people. I get no response when I'm trying to take some kind of action internally to resolve an issue I'm having because my the agreement we have and our policy file is being violated, and I've pointed this out and stated this several times over and over and over again, and it's being violated by these officers. I'm not being heard out. So a few weeks ago, I got a response, and I brought that up on this call. It was from a board member, by the way, and I didn't want to disclose what was discussed, but it dawned on me because last week, thank you for that, Yolanda, I was reminded of exactly what that gentleman told me. The gentleman I'm speaking of, his name is Tommy Cornelius, and he works for CDTFA. He's one of those board members, and he basically said, "Hey kid, go write up a perp and file it." And I didn't know what the hell a perp was. And then last week when I came on this call, thank you, Yolanda, you kind of just touched my brain a little bit. So I took some action. I went out there and I filed a perp against these no good you-know-whats because I'm getting tired of this shit. They're taking our money. They're not listening to us. They're neglecting us. We're getting treated like fucking children. Excuse my language, but we're getting treated like children when we shouldn't be, when we're just asking for the people we give our money to give us a little respect and hear us out. And I had enough of this crap, so I went and filed a perp complaint. And I encourage everyone out there who's listening, if you are tired of getting neglected, if you're tired of taking crap from this union, when you know damn well they're violating policy files and other sections of that policy file, please file a perp complaint. And if you need help in doing so, you can reach out to me. It is not hard to do. And I figure the more of these we get in there, they might just start jumping. And I've had enough of this. And if I don't know if this is going to be enough, so I took some further action, but I'll discuss that in some weeks to come. But anyways, Mr. President, thank you for your time. I hope everyone has a happy and healthy holiday, and I will talk to everyone soon.
Thank you for calling in, Derek. And I'll say this really quickly to what he said. Derek, you may want to call in tomorrow night, see if you can speak to Irene Green one-on-one. And ask her about her trip to Norway, because she went too. And so when you said, I thought they were going to Norway to stop prison closure, and I told people they're not going to stop anything. That whatever CDCR is going to do under the leadership of Gavin Newsom, that was decided before they sent union officials to Norway. That was already decided. Last thing, and then I'll go to the next caller. You said you filed with the PERB, the Public Employment Relations Board.
That's correct.
And you said DLC 782 President Tommy Cornelius told you to do that? So I'll say this really quickly and then I'll go to the next caller. That is an option. And I'm not going to criticize you for doing that, Derek, because I filed with PERB as well. In fact, when the lawsuit was served to Local 1000, interesting enough, SAC-B didn't ask about the PERB that was filed along with it. They left that part out. Or maybe the person that called from Local 1000 didn't tell SAC-B about the PERB complaint. And so I know some people say, oh, Richard, do all that talking, did you really do all this stuff? Just go to my website. CreateExcellence7437.com. Okay, so we'll come back to you, Derek, because I want to get back to what Yolanda said about something. So I see the next hand raised. I see a bunch of African Americans. I think I see Malcolm X. My eyes are bad. Malcolm X and some other people. So that person got hand raised. Go ahead. Hello? Next person in line? The person in front of Luke Cerna?
I'll make sure they unmute.
No. Yeah, you're muted. The person in front of you. Oh, okay. Evie. Go ahead, Evie.
Oh, I apologize, President Brown. I was
Okay.
trying to give some information to the group.
Oh, okay.
Yes, one of the things I wanted to let everybody know is that there is, if you're ready to take action,
Okay.
and maybe you can't do as much as some other people, and you think, oh, I don't have writing skills, so I don't know if I can write up a PERB complaint. What you can do is fill out the petition that is on
Hello? Are you there?
to his website.
Okay. So you said if people are ready and they don't want to fill out the PERB, they can also take action by going to where?
The petition that is on your website, sir.
Oh, okay.
It's a petition.
Yep.
It's a petition to remove the 3 VPs, Bill Hall, and immediately fire the chief counsel, Ann Geesey. So we've tried all of the ways that they said we're supposed to try. From my understanding, people have put in HR1s to no avail. We haven't even, the thing is, when your HR1 happened, they had a special meeting with members. They blasted emails constantly to the members saying, oh yeah, there's an HR1 out against President Brown.
Okay.
However,
Okay.
it's my understanding there were a whole lot more HR1s against the 3 VPs and Bill Hall that never went anywhere. And my question is why? Why? So if they say this is the process, oh, okay, well, you have to follow the rules, and, if you're not satisfied, put in an HR1, because that's our process. Okay, we followed the rules. We did that, but nothing happened. So why is it only one side has to follow the rules? Why aren't they following the rules? So if we don't follow the rules, we get written up, we get kicked out of the union, we get slandered by SAC-B.
Mm-hmm.
We get all this against us.
Well,
Why is it that when they don't follow the rules, nothing happens?
Wait,
Nobody says anything.
Wait, can I say one thing and then I'll let you keep going? In the SAC-B, they talked about, let me make sure I have this right here. They said, quote, escalation led to a standoff mediated by the Sacramento police between Brown's posse. I don't have a posse. Okay? To me, I'm just going to say this. That's racism. I don't have a posse. I don't have a gang. I'm out here in California. This ain't my home turf. So when you say, Evie, these people who filed these HR1s and nothing happened, but the one HR1 against me, or the two, Michael Guts and Monica Walls, Local 1000 was constantly sending out to people telling them stuff like that they filed the HR1 against me, they were taking action against me. And if you remember the April 27th email, they referred to me as the outgoing president. And so when I said earlier, the board has already predetermined before the HR1 process started and got going against me that they're going to remove me from office. They were already have tried me and found me guilty. And when did they find me guilty, Evie? On May 24, 2021. I'm sorry, go ahead, Evie. I didn't mean to cut you off.
It's okay, President Brown.
Okay.
I just really encourage everybody to please take action. Sign the petition. Because signing the petition is your way of saying, no, that's not what I agreed to. Because if you allow them to do this now to President Brown, whether or not you agree with the way he does things all the time, you know, one of the things about our democracy is that everybody should have a voice. And the voice doesn't mean that we're always going to agree. It just means that, hey, you have a legal opportunity to be able to say what you are convicted about, what you believe in, and be able to stand by that. So when we have elections and everybody says, oh, elections matter, and oh yeah, politics matters, so we're going to give all this money to the politicians so that we can be heard. Okay, well, we pay our dues and we're not heard. We should be able to say who we want to run our union. It's not the board's union, it's the members' union. It's a member-run union.
Wait.
So we have to speak loudly and sign the petition. Get everybody who can in every single website to sign those petitions so that we can have physical proof that yes, not everybody agrees with what we're doing.
So wait, Evie, I want to say this loud because my heater has come on. Yeah, I'm running my heat in my house tonight. Everyone on Facebook, Evie says there's a petition on my website. She says, make sure you sign the petition because that's your voice saying that, hey, we had an election and there are certain people who are trying to ignore your voice, your legal voice. And when they always tell you that elections matter and we're paying all this money to the politicians to hear our voice, when our own members with their own money that pay their dues on a monthly basis on time voted for a president, and now they're trying to remove the president, there's such a huge amount of hypocrisy. Go ahead, Evie.
That's all I have to say, President Brown. Thank
Oh.
you for letting me speak.
You're very welcome. If you want to jump back in line, because I know Yolanda's going to jump back in line, and possibly Derek, and I'm going to go to the next person. All right. Thank you for calling in, and I love the pictures of the people, the freedom fighters. I love that. All right. All right. So, I have the next caller. He's on Zoom, and here we go, because this is going to get deep. So everyone stay with me on Facebook, because this is going to be a kind of a deep conversation. Go ahead, Luke Cerna.
Hey, Richard, how you doing?
Oh, I'm okay. How are you?
Hey, I want to make sure I speak a little bit on a couple of the points that got mentioned, because I think there were some great points made.
Okay.
Just kind of the first thing that comes to mind is just, I kind of always go back. I remember, a couple of weeks back, I got a hold of your email list of all the DLC presidents, and I let them all know you were duly elected. You got the 3,000 plus votes that were needed to lift above the rest of the folks that were running, and you got to be given a fair opportunity to enact your plan for the union. It's just a shame that you decided to just sort of use any underhanded way to try to pull that power away, and just the fact that you've got to be given at least, I would think at least 3-6 months to at least have some time and to be able to include the folks that vote for you in explaining how you'd like to see this union move forward. I don't think it's any surprise that there's various levels of corruption, and some people like to call it soft corruption because it's not necessarily doing anything technically illegal, but I mean, it's pretty clear there's a lot of shaky things going on with giving people union leave and kind of throwing that around as a means to obtain votes from folks. So I think it's just we've got to be transparent about the types of things that are going on and understand that that's how people want to hold power and get their agenda brought forward. But I think you see through a lot of that and understand that we've got to pave a new path. But as far as what I kind of talked to you real briefly about just over text, kind of the main theme that I've been sort of bringing forth and thinking about and trying to really share with as many people as I can is how we leverage our power as a union as best as possible. Unfortunately, we've been on this idea for years and years that, we'll just give handouts to politicians and they're going to just see us and say, hey, we're getting all this money from Local 1000, we better repay. It's just a form of bribery, essentially. And unfortunately, that's how politics works, and that whole system's got to change. And to think that a union, even though we have 100,000 people, has the dues to really match the type of power that corporations in the fourth largest economy in the world can really keep up, it's just, I think it's just smoke and mirrors to think that we can keep up with that. That's why I see withholding our labor, that's what holds this state together, has to be what we use as our prime means of extracting the things that we need from the state in terms of getting a good contract. So delving into that a little deeper, I wanted to find out, okay, we're sending a significant amount of our dues up to the international, and what is that getting us? So I went into the Constitution and bylaws, that just kind of did a word search of strike and how that comes up within the bylaws. And I've got it pulled up here. It's $7.65 per member.
$12. But wait a minute. Did you go to my web?
Maybe it's more than that, because I think as you go further down, I think there may be some additional.
So wait. So hold on, everyone on Facebook. Mr. Cerna is talking about what are we getting when we pay that $688,000 or a little less or a little more, depending on how many members we have, to SEI International in DC. So he said he pulled the Constitution, and hopefully he pulled the 2020 SEIU Constitution, because if you did. If you're on page 31 through 32, it talks about the strike fund. And so I asked, I put up on my Facebook page, call Irene Greenemont and see what she has to say. If she even knows herself. But she doesn't. But now that it's up on Facebook, people who are my, quote, enemies, they'll call her tonight and say, hey, you got to get that strike information about how much International has to pay for our strike benefits. Ha, 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 Mr. Cerna. I've never said that on video. No one's ever been smart enough to ask me. Does International pay us any strike benefits? When you read pages 31 through 32, you tell me your personal opinion when you have time.
Okay. I can just to add on that.
Mm-hmm.
No, I think you're right. I don't think they're under any obligation to give us strike funds if we go out and strike.
But hey.
Basically funds going into what's known as like a solidarity fund or a
That's all politics.
Unity fund.
Yeah.
So you just kind of create this big general pot, and then they give all sorts of different ways that they can use it. It can go to supporting politicians, like I said, is a very lack of expressing that just half-assed way to get anything done.
So for
a bunch of other reasons.
So wait a minute.
So they want to just put it into a giant pot. They can use however they choose.
Hold on, everyone on Facebook. Right, but wait. Stop for a second. Hold on. Because you said something else, Luke, and then I'll let you talk some more. You said that paying all this money is really paying to the politics. It's really like bribery, hoping that politicians are going to, quote, help you. Listen to how I said this, that they're going to quote, help you. But you made a comment before when you said, how can we keep up with the financial spending of a corporation? We can't.
No.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. And, yeah, if you've got more thoughts on it, that's great.
So, here, check this out. Because I was talking about the numbers. People think I'm crazy when I talk about the numbers. 2021 platform point number 9. Create and use a strike fund to support lengthy contract negotiations. 7437. There's your 3 squared. Squared for power. Number 9, the strike. You are 1,000% right. Now, I would say something else, but I don't want people to think that I'm some type of nutcase. But as they say in the world, we don't care who the king or the queen or the monarch or the czar or the chief or the ruler, the Führer, the Kaiser, whoever, the Pharaoh. We don't care who it is. As long as we're the ones that control the money, we run the show. And so when you look, you should ask your DLC president. Send me the financials from the board meeting from last weekend. See if she'll do it. She won't. She won't send it. And that's why I put up on my Facebook, ask about how much money's in the strike fund and how much has it increased per month since 2021 July.
Yeah, strike fund's something that I brought up quite a while ago. I had a direct message with Bill Hall to try to explain the importance of that, and that's how we leverage our power. I get a very brief message back saying, "Oh, we thought about that a number of years ago. We just don't think that's what we should do." Anyone who's had any really true understanding of the history of labor knows that most, if not all, of what we've gotten for workers has been through putting their jobs on the line, going out on strike, being at fear of being thrown in jail. Luckily, we have a few laws that make that a little less likely to happen now. But I mean, I've been reading about the struggles of the international workers of the world and their leader, Big Bill Haywood, and a lot of the strikes that went on in Colorado and throughout the western United States in the early 20th century and late 19th century, and to look at what they went through to get what they achieved is mountains above, I think, what we have to do really to leverage our power against the state. So I just hope that people are willing to stick their necks out and realize if we all stick together, we can really achieve a lot.
Listen to this.
I'll leave it there.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much. If you want to get back in line, you can get back in line. And I'll say this really quickly, because I know some people are on Facebook and they see that man, Richard Wake, on there saying we can't go on strike. While you're under contract, you cannot go on strike. Once your contract expires, you bargain in good faith. Should you, quote, reach a legal impasse, take a strike vote, you can go on strike. If that was not the case, my 2018 brochure, when I put it in there about the strike, I have it on page, listen to this, page 7. It's right here. It's on my website. So when you see these so-called smart people on Facebook saying these things, and then sometimes you see me come on there and kind of, quote, rip somebody's head off, not, physically, but just really go in on somebody, because these people tell these lies over and over and over and over to make you think that we can't go on strike when that's an absolute lie. That's an absolute lie once our contract expires. And they don't want us to go on strike because it'll ruin the legacy of that politician. That's what it will do. And so, this current president, this current governor who wants to run for the White House or get to the U.S. Senate seat once Feinstein resigns, he can't have a labor dispute because he can't pull votes then, because it shows he can't run his own state. But you know what? I'm going to stop there because I don't want to go off on a rant, because a lot of people think that I go off on these rants. So remember, you wasn't on some of these last few calls when people were on Facebook saying, "Oh, I'm tired of you ranting. When are you going to do something?" And then when the lawsuit gets filed, for $12 million? Richard filed a lawsuit? No, we filed a lawsuit. Luke Cerna filed a lawsuit. Derek Roque filed a lawsuit. Marielle Chacon, Evie Lynch, Darren Stahl, and other people. Y'all filed the lawsuit. Because I am to you and you are to me. And together we are Local 1000. And therefore, we have to inspire the impossible. Because right now, they say, he's the outgoing president. He's the ousted president. Then why even have the HR 1 hearing that you paid all that money to Homer LaRue? How much money did you pay this independent arbitrator in D.C.? Oh, I'm willing to bet you $500,000. I guarantee Local 1000 won't show you the financial statement on how much they paid him or how much they're paying Leon Dayon. And even that money that International is paying Glenn Roffner, that money came from our money. And then you're going to save all that money from giving to politicians. That $1 million they gave to Gavin Newsom, that's what they did before I took office. You could put all that money into a strike fund. They don't want to. Because they have no intention. Because how can you go on strike against your boss? Because he's your boss. She's your boss. Because you're not on the same platform as them. You should ask Irene Green tomorrow night, are we equal to management? Is this a 50-50 partnership? So back in the day when the man said to the woman, the wife, stay at home, stay barefoot and pregnant and know your place. And when was she able to, quote, not know her place? If history serves me correctly, I think, oh boy, it was World War II. It took a war for the woman to escape the home, go out and work in the factories, and after that, when she started making her own money, she said, you can't control me anymore. I got rights. She always had rights. She was always his equal, his helpmate if you're into religious stuff. So she said, you're not going to talk to me like that. This is a 50-50 partnership. And when you have a union and they're dealing with management, yes, it's going to be a hostile situation at times because you're asking for equal respect. Let me stop. We'll come back to Luke. All right, let's go to the hand raised Mario. And then if Yolanda puts her hand back up, and then I see Evie's hand is back up. So go ahead, Mario.
Well, first of all, Rich, I want to thank you for fighting for us.
Oh, you're welcome.
No, I really do. I mean it because, quite frankly, I got a lot of things going on in my personal life, and it's reassuring that you're out there in front of us, and I appreciate that.
Okay.
Okay, number two, I want to thank you also for one of the processes of the union. They made one of the main reasons for our union, and that is for having us have a voice. And right now, we don't have a voice, my friend. We don't. What I learned a long time ago is that it's important for people to be able to be heard, and they don't want to hear us. And I'll give you a point that I'll give you an example. Actions speak louder than words. So there's been a lot of talk about. I guess there's the Lavender Group now. They're all good. They're all good, but they're not really union activities, so to speak. Yet there's been some very recent events that have been union activities. Number one, the University of California has strike with graduate students and so forth. Number two, one very close to me, is the railroad workers strike. And there's a whole history I can get that. My dad belonged to Brotherhood of Maintenance and Way Workers, and probably Luke probably knows more than I do, but I have a lot of intimate information about railroad workers.
All right.
Now, let me give you an example about railroad workers, okay, about actions versus words. So, we're supposed to be a union activist. So I've been hearing, I saw a lot of the emails for supporting all these groups, but not one email from SEIU, our union leadership, supporting the railroad workers. Not one word. Not one word. Not one word supporting the strike against the UC system. pockets. An example is this: the railroad workers. For 3 years, they negotiated in good faith for 3 years. And you want to talk about violence in the workplace? The railroad workers have been fighting for the rights for over a century and a half. They had to get their rights, equal pay, safety, to the barrel of a gun. Literally, they fought the army. Okay, I mean, 1875. I can go a lot of history, please. But the bottom line is this: for the past 3 years, they abide by a law. They negotiate the contract through negotiations, and behold, for the major unions with railroad workers, decide not to vote for the union package because they want some sick days to be with their families.
Wait. From what I read, not to cut you off, Mario, from what I read, 8 of the 12 said okay, but the 4 of the 12, the big boy railroad union, said no. And that's when they got Biden involved, President Biden, if I'm correct.
Well, there's still a whole lot of history to this, and this is why it's really important to be informed. Okay, if you want to understand this, that unlike the state of California, if one union votes against the contract, they all will strike. Okay, it's not just 4. It's but in a total number, this will be understand. The total number of railroad workers, 60% voted down that contract. 60%. Okay. Now here's the thing about politicians.
And wait. And we did say that there were 12 railroad unions, right?
There are 12. The Federal Railroad Workers.
Hold on, wait.
Engineers.
Hold on, just stay with me for a second. So I'm telling you how this is all lined out. 12 railroad unions across America, and you said if one of those unions vote the contract down, then the rest will follow suit and go on strike.
Correct.
And so when I say my number is 7437, 4 times 3 is 12 for the 12 tribes of Israel, and now we see the railroad workers also under the number 12. Go ahead, sir.
That's how you win. That's right.
Okay, Yolanda and Luke are with me here. They're following my train of thought.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay,
exactly. So, but in this case, 4 of the major unions, the one that actually collectively had the most membership, voted down the contract. Okay.
That's right.
And of course, he just said, "Oh, there were some people that voted down the union." No, there were the majority. Railroad workers voted down. Gotcha. Now, let's get further the story here. So, in the 1926 Railroad Act, the Congress and the President at that time voted into legislation that they can supersede.
That's right.
A contract.
That's right.
With railroad.
Because of interstate commerce. Yep.
Interstate commerce. So, actually, this happened. Last time this happened in 1991. A Democratic Congress and a Republican president at 1:30 in the morning, George W. Bush, which actually who I kind of like, don't get this.
Okay.
He woke up in the middle of the night to overturn the strike. Okay, in 1980, and now we followed through suit in 2022. A Democratic Congress and a Democratic president forced the railroad workers back to work, nullifying their right to strike. Okay, so don't depend on politicians like Luke said to be on your side. It ain't gonna happen.
Wait, hold on, Mario. Everybody on Facebook, and I keep talking loud because I don't want no one to say they didn't hear that. What Mario said in 2022, a Democratic Congress and a Democratic president stop the railroad workers from going on strike.
Exactly. Now, here's the consequence. If they would not have gone, if they would have gone on strike, if they do, you believe me, the power of the government will come down hard on the railroad workers. I do know this. I think Luke has had I think he got history knob. Oh yeah, the Army has come in, and I was part of the Army, so I kind of know about this. They actually, in 1948, Truman, a Democratic president, I repeat, a Democratic president, and at that time also the Democratic Congress, sent the U.S. Army to run the railroads. Okay?
Mario, hold on. Wait a minute. So everyone on Facebook, he said 1948, President Truman, a Democrat, sent in the army to run the railroads. Let me say this for President Truman from Missouri.
Yeah.
President Truman integrated the military.
No,
Forgive me. Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, the point is that, like Luke and Yolanda were talking about, we can't depend on the politicians to support us.
Gotcha.
That's the point. That's the point. They got their own agenda. And we know about this, Richard, because we're in the military. You can't depend on Washington, D.C. to cover our backs. We got to cover our own backs.
And so, right. And so, listen. Look, I want. You haven't mentioned this. I'm surprised, but you're on that railroad thing. As the man from the hardware store has told me religiously, Democratic President Bill Clinton, NAFTA, that destroyed so many people's lives in America. NAFTA. Now the Republican president, a Democrat, did that. Now, are the Republicans better than the Democrats? No.
No. Not the case at all.
Exactly. Go ahead.
But on that point again, I can go on more and more. In 1980, President Carter, Democratic Congress, voted the Motor Carrier Act. Guess what happened? The truckers' unions went dissolved, and now it's hard to find a good paying job in the truck industry.
Wait, was that President Carter or Reagan?
Carter, 1980, Democratic Congress.
Okay, because he took over in 81. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
1980. And don't forget that.
I know that.
From civil aeronautics work was also disbanded under Carter. That's what we have. We're in the stewards union. I go on, but Luke is very correct. You cannot depend just on politicians to cover our backs.
So now I'm going to stop you, and then I'm going to bring you back. Here's what I'm going to say. No. Here's what I'm going to say to you and Luke and to Yolanda. Very few people can get on and outquote history on me. Very few. And what you're saying with such power and eloquence, you can't depend on these politicians. I've been saying this to Local 1000 for years, and they've castrated me and called me the evil one. I'm not the evil one. But yet, this is the status quo behavior, because remember, when we incorporated SEIU International in 1984 in February, and then they did it again, the new affiliation agreement in 1988. That was the problem. And that's why the former CSEA President Perry Kinney and his vice president, Stephen O'Leary, who's the DLC 723 president, they were at war with SEIU International. And they would not wear their colors purple. They didn't want to be involved in politics to the extent that International was demanding.
Well, Richard, I hear you.
Mm-hmm.
But one thing I've learned in life, I'm a little older than you, just by a couple of years.
Okay.
I'll take that to my advantage.
Okay.
That is this. Intentions equal your actions. Meaning this, my friend, is that the union wants us to be divided under African American, Latino, Native American, to divide us. That's the purpose. They don't want us to get together. No. They don't want us to be united. They want us to be divided. That's how they control.
I tell you what, we're gonna stop right there. We'll go back to EB. No, and then we'll come back, because if Yolanda raises her hand, she's gonna come back. If I see Luke, I see Luke as well. But let me end on this. Mario Chacon just said the union with these human rights committees, organizations, African American, Asian, Islander, Pacific, Latino. They don't have a Democratic Party. We have the veterans. We have the LBGTQ, Next Gen. All these silly organizations. Now, Mario Chacon probably is a white man, but as a black man, I strongly say he's right. And I never wanted to have those human rights organizations. But remember, when I took over in July, when I went to the other building and started doing those Local 1000 Listen to You phone calls, if you remember, first person that called in, I want to say it was a Jewish cat, and I want to say it was Michael Gus. And then the next person that called in, I want to say was Jill Joyner, Native American. And they were calling me out, they were coming for me. And I knew if I said something wrong against that Jewish man, they'd say I'm anti-Semitic, and they'd have me around a tree. If I knew I went against that Native American, they would have me around a tree. And so I caved. I caved, and I said, okay, we do the human rights committees. Because I don't want to be called anti-Semitic, because I'm not. I'm black, by the way. And I'm not against Native Americans. I'm not against Latinos. I'm not against anybody. But I don't see how all these different ethnic groups is helping us. Okay, Jericho, he's a Jewish cat. So what I'm trying to say is, I don't see where all these different ethnic groups within Local 1000 is going to help us build solidarity in our union. And this is where I'm going to take up for white people. Any white people listen tonight? I want you to hear me on this. You don't have an ethnic group because you are the majority currently in the country. And I would tell white people, Caucasians here in California, don't worry. As long as you have your face on the money, we know who carries the weight in this country. Okay?
Well, that's very true, Richard.
So,
I have a little different perspective on that.
okay.
And that's especially because I was in my student history, because I got teachers on here.
Okay. All right.
That's this, okay? Well, I'm almost a student of the French Revolution. And one thing that was here in the elites, masses unite.
Okay. All right, we'll stop there. Hold on. We'll stop there and we'll come back. Okay. All right, we'll come back. All right, so go ahead, Evie. Thanks for your patience. Go ahead, Evie Lynch. Okay. Go ahead, Evie Lynch.
Thank you, President Brown. And Mario, I love your last name, Chacon. I love it.
That's it. That's it.
I just had, I'm going to try to keep this under 2 minutes or less.
Okay.
I have 4 points I wanted to bring up. First one is that the railroads threatened to strike. Oh, I'm sorry, 5 points. The first one is actually, some people said that your 21% pay increase was unreasonable, that you were thinking like a crazy person. How can we get 21% pay increase? Well, my second point is the railroad union threatened to strike, and they got a 24% pay increase. So striking does work. You have to use the tools that unions have used, like Mario said, forever. That's how they got things done. And we should stop thinking that we're going to create a new way of getting things done by begging. We shouldn't beg. We should demand. The next one is we need term limits, because there's too many people on that board that have been on that board for probably over a decade. So we need term limits so that we can get fresh ideas. We can get new people thinking outside the box. Because what I see is that there's the people who don't like you because you're changing systems that they put in place.
So one quick thing. Everyone on Facebook, Evie Lynch is saying about term limits. If you go to my website, on my platform point number 3, create a 2-term limit for all voluntary elected positions. And remember, by 2015, I was telling you back then the same thing. Go ahead, Evie.
We need term limits because people don't like it when you come in and change things that they put in place. Well, we don't do things the way we did even just 4 years ago. When COVID hit, it changed the way we do business dramatically. It changed a lot of things. And those who can't keep up are being left behind. Well, the younger generation need an opportunity to be able to build their ideas and have them work for the union. But they can't, because the people who are still on that board do everything in their power. Some of the people, I apologize.
Okay.
Do everything in their power to keep power, even if it's illegal. So if we have term limits, we don't have to keep dealing with the same individuals all the time, because they'll get turned out. The next thing I want to bring up is that the nurses are asking for us not to have $15 an hour minimum for healthcare workers. It's not enough. For what they have to deal with and what they have to do, $15 an hour is what people in now, the people of McDonald's are getting. They had to go to school and so forth. They're asking for $25 an hour minimum for healthcare workers. So when those individuals that say that, 21% pay increases, that's unrealistic. Well, the nurses are asking for a 40% pay increase. Are you telling our brothers and sisters in the healthcare field that that's unrealistic? It's not. It's unrealistic to you. But then that just shows that your vision is limited. And the last thing, we have to stop. I believe what Mario said, I agree with him. We have to stop playing into the traps of the politicians, the political rhetoric of the two-party system that pits us against each other. You're a Democrat or you're a Republican. How about we actually do what MLK said? We judge people by the merit of their character. Who they are is shown by what they do. So let's stop going and saying, we have to support Democrats. Just because they put on the title of Democrat makes them good? No. Let's start judging people by what they do. And specifically in this union, what they do for unions, for our union. That's how we should be playing it. No longer, if you're Republican, you're with the right to work. Okay, maybe there are some people with the right to work that really, truly want to help people just have the right to work.
Let me
without all the other discrimination.
Okay, so hold on a second. Hold on. Because you're talking, but I want to make sure people on Facebook heard what you said. Evie said, stop playing into the two-party system that pits Democrat against the Republican. She says, Martin Luther King, judge a person by their actions. Go ahead, Evie.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I think it'll do us all a great deal of good if we really, truly unite and, like you said, get out of politics. And when I say get out of politics, I mean get out of the political rhetoric. There's all kinds of different ways to deal with politicians that don't mean throwing money at them, because that has been ineffective. We see that. Let's get some new ideas in there. Let President Brown try to get his platform done. And if he doesn't totally succeed, well, maybe he'll succeed at some of them. That's a whole lot better than what we've had for the past decade. So those individuals who keep saying he's a detriment, I remind you, they said the same thing about Martin Luther King. They said the same thing about other leaders in this country. They said the same thing about those who left England and came to America to be able to freely live their convictions, whether it's religious convictions or other convictions. We have to have a leader with vision, not leaders that constantly tell you it can't be done. That's all I have, sir. Thank you for letting me speak.
Thank you for calling back. Put your hand back up, Evie. Evie makes the first point. The 20% pay increase is not unreasonable. She said the railroads got a 24% pay increase. She also said stop begging. That we need a two-term. She said term limits. I said 2 term limits. I've been saying that since 2015. One thing I'll say not really quickly. California State Legislature, our bosses, along with the governor. What are they on? Term limits. Here's the catch. Federal government, federal legislators, no term limits except for the president. Enough said. Then she also talked about, because we're not willing to do things differently in our union, it's hard to attract the younger generation. She's right. In fact, when the former president agreed to lower our pensions for those from 2011 and 2013. They have a different pension, which is a lot less than ours. Even those who came in after July 1st, 2007 don't have the same type of pension exactly like the ones before. So how are you going to increase your membership when the newer people are not getting the same pension you're getting? That's hypocrisy. All right, and then she talked about don't play into the two-party system. I've been saying this all along. There are some great things about Democrats and some great things about Republicans, but I prefer an independent or a Green Party. Let's shake things up. And then she finally said don't play into the political rhetoric and that we must truly unite, which is what Mario Chacon was saying. Stop all those human rights committees. Let's all work together. Yes, and that's why they're trying to run me out of here. Because I'm bringing sincerity, I'm bringing unity, and we're going to build a strike fund so we can get a 21% pay increase, so we can get GO pay and COLA and the essential worker premium pay. They don't want that. They don't want us together. All right, I'll stop talking. All right, next hand I see is JP. Go ahead, JP.
Hi, everyone. I'll try to be really quick. I like what the last two speakers have to say, Mario and Yolanda. I'm just going to kind of piggyback real quick.
Okay.
The reason I think, President Brown, you're such a dangerous person at this particular time is because you were doing all of those things. You were educating the membership. You were teaching them. You were trustworthy. You were backing that up with action, so we could watch you for a minute and then see what you did. And those things match every single time. And if you listen to you long enough and listen to the other side long enough, you can make a decision. So the more you were exposed to more of the membership on a more consistent basis, that was a problem. It don't take you all day to see sunshine. So you know quickly when it's going to be a problem. And that was going to be a problem for the powers that be. That's not what they want. Everybody has already said that. It's clear. They're not wanting a unified anything as it relates to us and this membership and this union. So you doing that and trying to get the people to see and make the decision for what's best for them. Here's the information. Here it is. Now you decide tell me what you want me to do and which way you want me to go. That's what you were doing. And you were bringing everybody together, no matter what, color, creed, race, nationality, any of that. And people were starting to slowly talk about it around the different buildings. But that we cannot have. And that's why everybody was coming at you from all sides. The news, making up stuff. They had to keep telling that lie and then telling that lie a little bit bigger and bigger and bigger because people were starting to say, well, wait a minute, that's not true what they're saying. Well, what's happening? And then they started to look a little closer at the other side and was like, well, wait a minute, we never did get the information about that trip to Norway. Did anybody know how much money was spent? Well, wait a minute. People start to think a little bit and start to ask more questions. That makes you very dangerous. And I'm not sure, perhaps you fully understand that, but that really,
wait, hold on. Wait, don't hang up. Because everybody's been talking for a long period, so I'm going to give you the same respect. Let me say this to you, JP, about being dangerous. When I talk about the strike fund, and I put it in my, let me go back to it here. I put it in my 2018 brochure about being able to go on strike. I think it's on page 7. And so when you see people saying that we can't go on strike, they're absolute liars. Once our contract expires, we can go on strike once we bargain in good faith for a period of time and reach a legal impasse. Maybe that's what makes me so dangerous. Because I'm saying, let's build the strike fund, and then once our contract expires and we bargain in good faith, what we've always done, and the state won't bargain in good faith because the state will never show you their financial statements to justify why they can't pay you a 21% pay increase along with GO pay and COLA and essential worker premium pay of $10,000 for every single one of us.
But that's what makes you dangerous. What you just finished saying is what makes you dangerous. People can start to think, look, and if you've been around long enough for the past 2, 3, 4, 5 years, you're able to look back and see every time they told you no, you couldn't have a pay increase. increase. Okay, around about January, February, the state legislature, they get an increase. And it is quite substantial. It's usually roughly between 25 to 26%. And it happens every time you guys have been told no. That makes you dangerous because you're telling people the truth about the strike fund and when we can and cannot go on strike. And the more people listen to you, they can hear you say, clearly you've said, we can't until our contract is up and after we have bargained in good faith and it hasn't worked.
And we should be
very clear about that.
Yeah.
And people are starting to hear that and they're starting to question what they've been told on the other side.
And let me jump in and say this to you, JP. I see people, I'm trying to keep up with what you say. I see little chats on the Zoom a little bit. I'm trying to keep up with what's being said on Facebook. Either EB, because you were referring to EB and Mario, the two callers before you, either EB or someone said that Dr. King, I think she said Dr. King was considered a detriment. If you want to take it deeper, Malcolm X was considered a detriment. The Black Panther Party was considered a detriment. But who were the first detriments to America? Those that came from England looking for a better life, which is what E.B. was saying. They were considered a detriment. When women wanted to leave the home and work in the workplace, they were considered a detriment. And let me take one step and then I'll let you continue. There was a rebellion, I want to say it's in North Carolina. At that time, slavery was trying to get started. And what happened was the blacks and the whites actually came together in a rebellion because they weren't getting treated right in the workplace or in the fields, should I say. And they squashed it. And what they tried to do was create racial division between the blacks and whites. And that's when they really started to make the enslaved African, quote, a slave for life.
Correct. Because listen, when we were property, we were very valuable, and you couldn't necessarily hurt us or kill us. Because then you would have to pay money to our owners. When we became not valuable, and when we were slaves, we were everything great. If anybody remembers their history, we were reliable, trustworthy. We were everything wonderful under the sun when we were owned. The minute we became free or set free, we became the opposite of all of those things. And you're correct about the whites and blacks coming together because there were lots of white poor in this country. And so we would help each other. Those communities, blacks and the whites who were very poor at the bottom, would help feed, clothe each other, take care of their children. But when that became a problem, and we got together and somebody was getting us together and we were working together as a group, those two different ethnic groups, it became a problem for the people at the top making the money. And they could see that there was going to be enough of us to rise up and overtake anything that they were telling us, and they had to squash that, which is what's happening now. And what they did was hold out a carrot to the whites to say, and that started the whole, well, at least you're not black. At least you're not, and that whole thing. At least you're not, the word that starts with an N. At least you're not that. So we'll give you stuff. We'll give you, if you can get onto that land, we'll let you have that land. That was the welfare that was given. It was never given to people of color, but that form of welfare was given to people who were white. You get on that land, homestead, get there, and a few blacks could get it, but not many. Mostly that got taken away from them. So that is what I mean when I say when you were bringing us together as a union, that was not going to be conducive, in my opinion, for the people who are in control with SEIU. That's a lot of money. You mess with people's pockets.
Right.
I'm sure everybody knows you can't mess with nobody's pocket without somebody wanting to, get you.
So let me say this to you. You said that I was dangerous because I was bringing people together. That's accurate. I was dangerous because I was talking about going on strike and shutting down the fourth largest economy on earth. That's accurate. When I made the comment about SEIU, I said that's slaves, entertaining, and unity. And I don't know too many white people who want to be referred to as slaves. Indentured servants? Possibly. Maybe. Iffy. But not a slave. And so when I made that comment weeks ago, I said it to inform, quote, the white people in our union. They're treating you like a slave. They're treating you like a black person from the ghetto. Because you have a signed contract and then they come around later and just take your money from you. Would they be doing that if you were just a white person with an all-white group? I think not. But because you have so many minorities in your group, oh, and by the way, you have an African-American leader who won't do anything to fight for you. She won't fight for you. That's why I said they're treating you like a slave. And I hope the white people hear me when I say this. Because when I told the white people in the summer of 2020 when I was campaigning, I said, how is this African-American woman going to tell you about Black Lives Matter and she won't even protect your money under a signed contract? And I said this, the white people that I know are never going to listen to nobody, particularly a black person who just gave up their money. But see, that African-American wasn't an agitator. She knew her place and still does. And I don't have anything personally against Yvonne Walker, but I'm going to call it the way I see it. So when I call out other black people for their nonsense, I'm going to call you on it. When I call out white people for their prejudice, and Latinos, and Asians, and anyone else that's acting a fool, I'm going to call you on it. And when I told the white people in the summer of 2020, I said, be proud to be white. Because I'm proud to be black. Now let's go get this money. This is how I said this. Let's go get this money together. You know what they said? Oh, okay, Richard. And those people were behind those prison walls in CDCR. I hope they're listening. Because when I was fighting for CCC, all the other prisons were watching because they knew they could have trouble on their hands, and now they do. Have you seen Irene Green fighting for these people? I'm going to really get on her in a second. Let me stop.
Now, can I just say one
Yes,
thing?
go ahead, JP. Go ahead.
So for people who have been watching or listening to this call, and that's how I was doing this year. I don't know you. I just watched and listened. And so I heard you say some stuff, and you talked about the prison, and you talked about, what was going to happen. And then that happened. And then I was like, well, wait a minute. What now? And then you said, what they're trying to do, or, what did you pay, and how much money you used to get your hair cut and look fresh when you were giving these Zooms, and how much money you spent out your own pocket. And I'm like, wait a minute, what now? And then I listened to the other side, and some lady, and I don't remember her name, was calling, and she was saying, I had to pay out of my own pocket to ask my union, who I am a good, paying dues to member, what's the financials of this union? And I wasn't able to get it unless I paid out my own pocket, and then I was still being blocked. And I was like, now, what now? And all you have to do was just listen, watch, and then ask that same question to either side and see who gives you an answer, see who gives you a song and dance. And I also noticed that what you said first, just wait a few minutes, the other side copied and mimicked. But what they're not doing is putting any action behind the words that they're copying from you. That's what they're not doing. And I just want people to pay attention to that and so they notice that.
Hold on, JP. Hold on, JP. Stay with me for a second. EB said earlier as a third caller, if you're ready to take action, go to the createexcellence7437.com website and fill out the petition. Ironically, when she said that, I didn't know she was going to say that. I don't script my calls. And on my Facebook page, RL Brown, tonight, I said, it's time to take immediate action. Now, Derek Rogue, as the second caller said, file a PERB, Public Employment Relations Board. File a PERB, because if your union is dropping your grievances and they're not, quote, going by the Ralph C. Dills Act 3512, file the PERB. If you feel that your union is trying to remove your duly elected president for baseless, meritless allegations, then why haven't you filed the PERB? So someone said, well, Richard, you're supposed to lead by example. What took you so long to file your PERB? Because I was trying to be patient when they suspended me on February 27th. Basically, that's March 1st. And what I did, wait for it, I waited to be patient. And I waited 9 months. Well, the baby's here now. The baby is out. So it's time to take action right now. I'm sorry, JP, go ahead.
No, we kind of waited too long because I've never seen a union have an election, somebody get elected, and then the union go right to get rid of that person before he could even be, serve 90 days.
So let me explain this. Hold on. Let me explain this to you. Wait, let me explain this to you. In that policy file, if the 3 VPs said we're going to suspend the president, they can. Ironically,
why didn't they do any of that with the last lady?
They tried. Hold on. Wait. Hold on, JP. They tried to suspend the last president. Guess who stopped it? The chief counsel and Giese stopped Annika Walls, Kevin Menninger, and Tony Owens from suspending the last president, Yvonne Walker. So when the staff says they're not politically involved in this nonsense, that's a lie. That's an absolute lie. When all this comes out one day, JP, when people get subpoenaed in court and they testify on the Bible, that's when the truth will come out.
So this is a power grab?
Yes. Listen. When I got elected unofficially on May 24th of 2021, on that Monday, they announced it in the paper. My phone was ringing off the hook. That Thursday night, I got a call from Miss Black Sherrills. She called Lisa Adams. And I want people on Facebook to hear these names because these individuals get on Facebook running their mouth like they care about Local 1000. Mish called me, called Lisa. She said, we got something bad to tell you. I said, what's that? They said, Annika Walls, Ruth Albera, Kevin Menninger, Harold Fong, David Jimenez, the MTC crew, along with some other people, and those other people were some Heffins and other individuals. They're talking about how they use the HR1 process to remove you from office. Period. And when they get called to testify on that, and I gotta pull my phone records, and I will pull them. That's what they were doing. Bill Hall and his crew were, quote, also working to get me out of office. So what they were going to do was first remove me off the board of directors through the Sacramento Superior Court system. That's what they're trying to do. So one's trying to remove me from the internal, kick me out of the union by the policy file. The other, by the policy file, says to remove him from the board of directors, we got to go through the Sacramento Superior Court system. So we'll find us a judge that will do our bidding. Period. Now, my HR1 process is over. The arbitrator hasn't submitted his recommendation to the board, but it doesn't even matter. They've already decided, when they sent out the email on April 27th, the outgoing president, that was telling you they didn't need an independent arbitrator. Their minds were already made up. Richard's out of here. We can't stand Richard because Richard's too transparent. Richard won't take the salary stipend. Richard doesn't want to spend money on politics. Richard's fighting for the people in Lansing County. Richard's doing too much, and Richard would not allow the state to say everyone must get vaccinated. Richard's gone on too far. Get rid of Richard. So that's what they're doing on two different levels.
You're a man of color, thinking for yourself, and you're thinking for the membership, and you're looking out.
Well,
you're doing your level best to look out for what's best for the membership, getting the membership to try to participate in their own financial well-being on the job. You're doing a lot. And I understand why you didn't want to take the stipend, but I also wanted you to take the stipend because you're the hardest working man, and people work that hard legitimately need to be paid. And that's all I'm gonna say. I'm gonna let somebody else talk a long time.
Okay. Well, JP, you can get back in line. I see Evie's back in line. I'm gonna call Darren because I know he has a lot to say. Probably, I don't never know what he's gonna say. Let me say this to everybody on Facebook. JP said that I'm a hardworking man. That's true. And people have asked me, why did you not take that salary stipend? Because I said you cannot buy me. This is a volunteer job. Period. A volunteer job. Not a paid volunteer, a non-paid volunteer job. This is called sacrifice. This is my courage, this is my integrity, this is my vision, and I do it through transparency. Create a new culture of excellence, inspire the impossible. hold on a second, and then I'm gonna get to Darren. You know, I printed out something. It came across my Facebook page back on 12/6/2020, which is the day before today, last year or 2 years ago. And I put this to the state worker and to Yvonne Walker. This is what I said. Never, never give up. Ishmael and Isaac, I hope you hear me. I know you say that I'm wrong, and maybe I am wrong, but I'm rolling with Jesus Christ as his son. Okay, so it says, never, never give up. And then, that West Coast, that Nigerian in me from Benin, fight to the finish. That's West African. You know who I'm talking to. Strategy is now in session. This election is mine. I will defeat all the odds. The force from the air is supreme. I know the secret. Richard Lewis Brown will be the new Local 1000 president. I said that on December 6, 2020. Okay? Putting my faith in God through Jesus Christ. Yes, they're trying to run me out of here. Listen, I know they're trying to run me out of here. And I know tonight's video, they're going to use against me. Please do. Please do. Because everything I say is the righteous truth. Which means, as Evie said, you know, what was true a couple of years ago may not be true now. What I say is the righteous truth. What I said yesterday is true today, and it will be true tomorrow. All right. Darren Stahl, thank you for your patience, sir. Thank you. Go ahead, sir. Hi, Darren.
Good evening, President Brown, and good evening, my fellow SIU 1000 members. I got on a little bit late tonight, President, because I was actually working with my DLC president and helping get our janitors, our custodians, within our building a little bit more organized and get them ready to take on a fight with management because of some issues with management there in the building. So, but I digress. Over the past, maybe 2 weeks, I've grown a little tired. And it's not a tired that most of us are probably familiar with. There are those of us that when we get tired, kind of curl up, roll up, and put it away. And then those of us who get tired, stand up, lock in, and get ready for more. And the latter is the tired where I'm at. Because I'm sick and tired of the Hoover that we have sitting on a chair known as Bill Hall in SEIU Local 1000. I said it. We have a Hoover in our building. And we all know what Hoovers did. We all know what Hoovers do. I'm sick and tired of the boo-hoos and the naysayers when we talk about we want to organize, and we want to organize to move forward, and we want our ability to strike to be taken seriously. And I'm getting sick and tired of the clowns, and I'm going to call them the pretendians that sit on our board, the folks that, most of them missed the 60s, so they're a little upset that they didn't get to join the walks in the streets, because most of them were born in the 70s, and they're over here pretending that they're actually pro-labor. And most of them, and I'll go back to what Mario was saying earlier, we just watched a president interfere in a collective bargaining function. And they stood by and A, said nothing, and B, cheered and approved of it. That tells me that the folks in our DLC and some of the folks in our bargaining teams do not know what legal precedence is. We have a lot of people, and I'm going to say it, and I know I'm probably going to piss some folks off, but guess what? We have a lot of people on our board that do not know the difference between shall and must. We have people on the board that do not know the difference between a debit and a credit when it comes to.
Sorry.
We have people on our board and in bargaining that don't even know what the word compel actually means when it comes to contractual obligations. And I'm sick and tired of the ineptness that these folks constantly show and constantly exude. I'm sick and tired of having a supposed person that's in charge of our bargaining that is not even thoroughly familiar with our current and about to be obsolete contract. So, looking at things the way we are, we need to bust through a lot of the misinformation and the disinformation that a lot of these folks are putting out there. Yeah, I'm with Luke. We have the capability to strike. I'm with you, President Brown. We have the capability to strike. We have all of these clowns running around with disinformation that are part of bargaining teams that are telling people we cannot strike. And oh, well, we don't have a strong enough strike fund. But, you know, if you don't have full disclosure, you don't know what your rights of a strike fund are. And by listening to President Brown, I found out what our rights are for a strike fund. I found out what obligations SEIU International has to our strike fund. So if you're not asking questions and trying to learn as a union member and as a unionist, and you're as a board member of a DLC taking somebody else's word for it, then you don't belong where you are at. You're just a freaking, I'm going to say it, just a follower. You're not a leader, you're not a president when they're doing that. And I can tell you this right now, there's about 41 of them over there on the DLC board that are grade A followers. They don't have an independent thought within them.
Wait, you said on the DLC board or the Local 1000 board of directors?
Our Local 1000 board of directors.
Okay.
They don't have an independent thought within them. And that's embarrassing because it's seen by their actions. It's seen by their complicitness of what's been going on and what has been transpiring in our union.
You know what? Wait a minute. Hold on, sir. Hold on 1 second. Hold on 1 second here. Go ahead.
So, the other thing too is it goes back to simple math. You know, we see the current effort, and I'm not denigrating the current effort of trying to raise membership. I get that. We need it.
Well, Darren, wait. I have a question, and then one quick point or question, and then I'll let you continue. They tell you they're so concerned on raising membership, and they said the great thing about being a member is you can vote to ratify contracts and vote for union leadership. So if they're so concerned about raising membership, and when membership voted for the president, yet they're going out of their way to remove the president, which one do we believe?
Exactly. But I'm going to tell you this.
Okay.
A lot of, and this is, I'm going to say it. I mean, it is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of members that are joining. And especially our younger members.
Well, that's good to know.
I talk to them in the hallways.
Okay.
And they're doing their homework. They see what's going on. They know how to navigate social media. And a lot of them are a hell of a lot more critically thinking than they're given credit for. So, eventually, it's gonna get it's they're catching on. They're seeing it. So yeah, we are getting new membership, but we're also getting membership that the status quo may not appreciate. And for me, I appreciate critical thinking. I want my members asking questions.
Hold on a second.
That tells me.
Wait a minute. Hold on, Darren. Wait a minute. I agree with you, but I'm gonna say something to you that I'm gonna let you keep going. On my 10-point platform, in my brochure, my 2021 brochure, I say eliminate salary stipends and time requirements for all volunteer elected positions. Now, later on, I say create a single union membership class who all have the same voting rights and job stewardship, regardless of paying status. Why did I say that? I said number 2, and then I doubled down to number 4. I said that, Darren, because as long as they have this, quote, fast track, because Annika tried to change the name because she's trying to keep up with me. As long as they can decide who becomes stewards and who doesn't, anybody who's an activist who speaks out, you won't be a steward. And then you have to be a steward for at least, I think, I want to say a year to run for DLC president, but 2 years for statewide office. So they can effectively keep new leaders from coming in by controlling who becomes stewards. And this is why I said everyone, even if you don't pay money, should be a job steward, because that contract protects you whether you pay money or not because of the exclusive representative clause. If they got rid of the exclusive representative clause, then you wouldn't have no more freeloaders, because if you don't pay money, we don't represent you. That's how they keep these young people out of the game.
Exactly. I do not disagree with you at all on that. And that's definitely one thing that our union needs to do a better job once we get you back in of working with those lower paid classes. Because some of those lower paid classes, a big reason why they haven't joined the union, because they can't afford to.
And you know what, Darren? You talked about organizing the custodians, helping them. In 2015, when I was first talking about a 21% pay increase, I was saying this back in 2015. I said, I'm trying to help those on the lowest end come up.
Yep.
Now, we all have to come up equally on the pay increase so you don't have dissension. But I was trying to reach out and touch the custodians. They got to get a 21% pay increase. But to keep people from arguing, you have to pay everybody the same pay increase.
Agreed.
And when someone asked me, well, do we get paid 777? I said, no, pay all 21% at one time. Why? Because if you do 7% over 3 years, you'll give the price of goods and services to go up with your 7% pay increase, and you'll never see the net profit out of it. And then you have to stop the OPEL. So I'll stop right there. Go ahead, Derek. I'll stop.
And I know you get to see the amount of views that happen, not from just the live, but from when things go down in the days that follow, of how many people are jumping in and watching. And this is something I said probably about 5 or 6 months ago, and actually I kind of attest a little bit of this to a guy that I started listening to, maybe only about 4 or 5 months ago, Jimmy Dore.
Okay.
And, as a labor union, you want to talk about numbers, you want to talk about strength in numbers. I get that, right? The state, we want to hear, they say, oh, well, the state's only going to take us seriously once they take our numbers seriously. And that right there tells me that that's the excuse. I've worked the private sector. If you really have a deal that's going to raise somebody up, you have a deal that makes sense, they're going to take you seriously. If you're a serious negotiator, if you know what you're talking about, and you know what you and how to engage, they're going to take you seriously. If you got a bunch of folks sitting around you that don't know what the hell they're doing, and they're pretending what they know they're doing, that's when they're not going to take you seriously.
Listen to hold on.
I said.
Right. Wait. Go back to what you said earlier. You said there are some people who are the D-Birds, my bargaining representatives, going around telling people we can't go on strike. They're not telling them the correct story.
Correct. Yes.
Okay. Now, I put up on Facebook, and I just want to go to Facebook after you're done talking. So I want to go on Facebook from Zoom and read the questions that I have for Irene Green tomorrow night. I've given them to the questions for her ahead of time so she can have all her answers together. Because I want to show you something. Because there's something that I did not put on there that I missed. But go ahead, Darren.
You know, at the end of the day, when it's time to bargain, are you going to go to the shop floor with those who only support you? Or are you going to go to the shop floor with everybody who supports the union? And that's what we're looking at.
So,
you know, we got people that want to go to the table with only the people that support their ideas. They don't want to go to the table with everybody who's in the union.
You know what? You're correct, and that's the political negative aspect of our union. Now, you know, I see people talk on Facebook, and you know, Richard Wake always likes to get attention. He's one of these people that says we can't go on strike, and he's right during a contract. But once the contract expires, we can go on strike. But he continues to say this on Facebook to mislead people. And then he says that I'm part of the Freedom Foundation. You know, Richard Wake, you're defaming my character because you have no proof on anything that you're saying about me.
I got something for you on that too.
Yeah, and when Richard Wake called me a chicken and coward, listen, everybody. When I talk, people think I'm just talking. No, I'm not. You should go to my website and check out my website. I give out a lot of information on my website. And a lot of people are going, and they're not my supporters. So when people say that they don't know what's going on, that's because you don't want to know what's going on. Because Richard's been here the whole time. My number's been out here. So when y'all call Irene Green tomorrow, and she can rehearse all her answers for the questions I put up for her, there's one I left off. But when you talk like this, Darren, and hopefully you'll call her tomorrow and ask her, well, she won't take your questions. She knows you're coming. She won't take. Here's the thing. When they do this one-on-one tomorrow night, anybody, as you said, Darren, that has an opposite view, they won't take the question or they'll cut you off. When I did my videos, I got criticized because I let my haters come on there because they have their freedom of speech. Their money to the union is just as good as my money to the union. So I let everyone have a voice. And when someone says, well, Richard, you'd have those board meetings and you would, hold up the board meetings and talking too much, you're holding people hostage. I never put a gun to no one's head and told someone, you have to stay here. That's the same lie they said when Ann Giese, the chief counsel, came to the building on March 5th. They said that she felt intimidated. No, you didn't, because the cops were right there. You came in freely, you left freely. You said you was going to send an email to membership telling membership that there was a dispute, but there's no break-in, there's no damage being done to this building. She was supposed to do that. She did not do that. And then she lied on her declaration saying she only said that because she thought her life was in fear. But the police were at the building the whole time. She lied. And I don't know why someone hasn't gone through state bar on her for her lie when she said that. I don't understand that. I'm sorry, Darren. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Darren.
And actually, I one part of that too to move over to as well to kind of put some context to things. Those days that you're talking about when you were supposedly holding the board hostage, okay? I was there. I was on those meetings. I was on those calls. And for those, and I'm going to use the word. I'm going to use Ricky Puddle's favorite words. Cowards. Because those times, you as active president, duly elected president, were allowing membership to address only select few, but not the membership as a whole, to address them. And you pissed them off because they did not want to hear from membership.
And you know what, Darren? I'll throw this in real quick. Someone was on Facebook running their mouth saying that Bargaining Unit 1 had a low membership, like 40-some% membership, and they know I'm part of Bargaining Unit 1. And I responded back, well, Bargaining Unit 1 had a low membership before I came. But the reason why you have a low membership in Bargaining Unit 1, I'm going to tell you why. I didn't go to college to be part of no union. I went to college to be self-efficient on my own. Okay? So a lot of people in Bargaining Unit 1 are college educated. They look at Local 1000 and they laugh. It's a joke to them. How can you have a union and then while you're under contract lose your money? How can you be furloughed? What kind of union is that? You don't have a union. You have people parading around in a social justice organization acting like they're intelligent and they're not. So people in Bargaining Unit 1 who are highly educated, they're not going to waste their time. And real quick, Bargaining Unit 17 and 20, those RNs and LVNs, they're educated too. Why do they pay money to Local 1000? Because they're behind those walls in CDCR and they're trying to have some type of insurance policy to protect their life. Because when they work with those correctional officers who protect them, CCPOA protects their officers. So the LVNs and the RNs are trying to stay as dues-paying members of Local 1000 so they can say they have an insurance policy just like the correctional officers. And that's the only reason why they pay money to Local 1000. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Darren.
So, yeah, and I just want to close up because,
okay.
And I am going to use the words that Mr. Puddles and Frank Askin and Scott B. whatever.
Scott B. Smith.
The ones that are the true cowards are the ones that are afraid to put it down on the line. If you are not willing to strike, not only for your pay, but for the pay of those in the lower pay scales, why are you part of this union? What are you scared of? Scared of the state? Are you scared that you don't have that you haven't been responsible with what you've been entrusted with to last a paycheck or two, fighting for those who are less fortunate than you are? I will put that out there, and I will put this out there as well as I want to close up and let Evie and some other folks finish up. And you might even see this on a shirt somewhere.
Okay.
No RLB, no contract in 2023.
Thank you for the utmost respect for saying that. No RLB, no contract in 2023. Thank you. Yes, thank you.
Yes.
Now, before we let them throw me out in this American River or Sacramento River or the Pacific Ocean, because you throw me out in the Pacific Ocean and you'll never see me again. If they throw me in the river, then you may be able to recover my body. So let me say this. We're going to fight to the finish. And when they try to have this secret board meeting, because the policy file says for HR 1 actions, we have to close the meeting down. We go to an executive session. No, they don't. No, the heck they don't have to do that. They just had a board meeting on December 4th. The whole meeting was an executive session because they didn't want you to know nothing they did. And at that meeting, they voted to make Irene the chief negotiator. When that is the president's responsibility, that's what the people voted on, the president to be the chief negotiator because of his 10-point platform, because of the 21% pay increase, and Geo paying COLA. What platform did Irene Green have? She didn't have no platform. But all those questions that I said ask her, I left out one question. But it's up on my Facebook page. Someone can grab it real quick and read off those questions here on Zoom. Or if someone on Facebook wants to come on and I'll bring you on Facebook, I want you to read those questions because I'm going to tell you how she's going to answer her questions before she even answers. All right, so I see a hand raised. Evie, go ahead, Evie, and then we'll try to get those questions for Irene Green, and then we'll try to lock this down and close it out tonight. Hello, Evie, did you have your hand raised?
Thank you, President Brown.
Okay.
So thank you, Derek, for what you said. I agree. I think that what you said was profound. And piggybacking off of that last thing, remember, if we are part of a union and we're still standing alone, then why do we have a union? The whole point of having a union is so that we wouldn't have to go it alone and be scared. So we have so many people in our union that are scared because they know that they're alone. That speaks volumes. We should never feel like we're alone if we're part of a union. If we're paying dues members part of a union. I wrote a couple things down just real quick. So JP has said we're messing with people's pockets. Yes, JP. We are messing with people's pockets. Because those pockets have our money in them. So we gotta mess with their pockets.
So you said that JP was right when she said that we're messing with people's pockets, and then you said, Evie, that she's right. We are messing with people's pockets because that's our money in their pockets.
And I wanted to know, did they report during this board meeting that we had this past weekend, did they report to the entire board that there were lawsuits? Did they make that report to the entire board?
What was
They did. Why not?
What was told to me is, and I wasn't at the meeting because it's an illegal board meeting. What was told to me was that Bill Hall would not talk about the lawsuits. So I guess he didn't talk about the lawsuit that I filed and anybody else's lawsuit. He didn't want to talk about that either.
That's interesting because I do believe that Annika Wall HR won you for not telling anybody about the lawsuits.
So what she lied about was talking about, because she's part of the executive committee, she said that I was withholding information from her. That was a lie.
So my thing is, you didn't withhold information,
No, I didn't.
and yet Bill Hall is withholding information from the exact board that he said had a right to know all information.
Hold on. Hold that point for a second. Hold that point. Because you jumped me. When that attorney, Leon Dayon, emailed me on Sunday, interrupted my Sunday with his email, the reason I responded back to him and the entire board, so that the entire board will know that he's, quote, representing Local 1000, so that I'm not holding any information back from no one. So that proves that when Annika Walls was saying I was holding information from her, that was a lie. The only information that she held back from me was that she was trying to run me out of office with the HR1 through the HR1 process when she was having her meetings with David Jimenez, and Kevin Manager, Ruth Albera, and a few other people. Actually, it's a big group of them. So I'm glad that you brought that up. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Evie.
Yes, President Brown. So my next question is, why are DLC presidents who have low numbers in their DLCs on special committee, if they aren't even able to handle their one DLC, why are they given more to do when they're not keeping up with their DLCs?
Politics. Favoritism. Yeah. So if a DLC president has low members if a DLC president has low membership, he or she doesn't care, because they said International came down here to teach them how to do it out of our money. That's the first thing. Second thing is they say they care, but they're lying. Third thing is, if you put a DLC president on union leave, and no one knows who's putting people on union leave, is it David Jimenez acting as the president? Is it Bill Hall? Is it both? No one seems to know. You can't get a straight answer. And then if you put that DLC president on union leave, then you expect that DLC president to vote the way you want at the secret board meetings. That's how that works.
So we need to get out of politics. That's what I'm saying. All this politicking is what's keeping us from really, truly being a labor union. A labor union. And just for total transparency, I am on the Veterans Committee. And the Veterans Committee, I got on there because it dealt with our jobs. Because vets in the workplace are treated like crap. We don't have the laws, the federal laws, being enforced by our union. I'm not saying get them to make laws. These are the laws that we already have, and they're not being enforced by the union. We have vets who go out there and put their lives on the line and come back to work just to be treated worse than second-class citizens. So I joined the vet committee for that reason. Because it deals with work.
Now listen to this, Edie, from one veteran to another. I want everybody on Facebook to hear this. If what the veterans are going through, if it's not in that contract, no, the union's not going to enforce it because it's not a legal issue. It could be a complaint, but it wouldn't be a grievance. And so when they're talking about what things should be in the new contract, veterans have to say, hey, you got to have this language in here to protect me as a veteran because I protected the country at one time. That's how that should work. But if you can't even enforce your current contract, then how can you really bargain for a new contract? Because you haven't shown any type of behavior that you have the level of professionalism, or as I call it, integrity, the courage, the transparency to fight. And this is what everyone's been saying tonight. These people in this union are not willing to fight. They will let the politicians run over them. The only way to fight, as Luke Cerna said, financial leverage through your strike fund. And as Mario Chacon said, it doesn't matter what politician that you support, don't put your faith in these politicians, put it into that strike fund, because that's your financial leverage per Luke Cerna. So if the veterans want to get stuff into that contract, then call Irene Green tomorrow night and say, hey, we demand as veterans to have certain things put in that contract that are coming from federal law. And let's see what Irene Green says about that. Let's see. Because here's one thing I do know. When I campaigned from 2015, they never said, well, Richard, talk to us about your prior life. Richard, there wasn't no application to run for president. Are you a dues-paying member? Yes. Have you been a job steward for 2 years? Prior to the first day of the nomination period? Yes. Then you can run for president. So this is what I have done. And now they hate it. And the voice of the people voted. So it wasn't just veterans voting. So you make a great point, Evie. Continue. Hello?
Oh, I'm sorry, President Brown. That's all I had for tonight. Thank you for letting me speak.
Okay, because every time you talk, it says connecting to audio and then cannot hear you yet. So okay. And again, I love, I see these people on here. Oh, gosh. I want to say I see Marcus Garvey, Malcolm X, Elijah Muhammad, the Honorable Minister Farrakhan, Dr. King. I want to say that's, is that Angela Davis? And then the guy, I don't know if that's Fred Hampton or Huey Newton. I'm not sure. I think he's one of the Black Panthers. All right, but I love that picture. All right, so let's go to Yolanda. Now, I want someone to go to my Facebook page and read off those questions that I have for Irene Green. And then we're going to end this out. So we'll go to Yolanda. Go ahead, Yolanda.
Okay. Anyway, I want to say to the question that you were talking about the contract. Okay, the contract, some of the contract
Okay.
Plain and simple. Okay? So you can have agreement. You can have a viable contract issue.
Yes.
I had several. Yolanda Williams, DLC 721. A lot of them. The last one I had was a temperature climate issue in which I'm dealing with now. Still. First, it was the receptionist. I was in the front. All the air, no air coming, no heat, no freezing up there, blah, blah. And then, now they put me in the back, in the cubicle. They put me in a certain area where all the wind is blowing when they turn on the air and all this. So, a lot of harassment going on. Do you know, members listening on Facebook and on YouTube, they just sent me after 7 months of dealing with the issue in the receptionist in the front area where somewhat we got it together. We're not going to arbitrate. That you had it 8 months. We've been going back and forth and dealing with maintenance and doing all this, and you're going to tell me I don't have anything? I can show you stuff. It's in the contract. 10.33, temperature and climate. Been going on for 8 months. And the union says we're not going to arbitrate. And you can't, I think they said it stopped at CalHR. That stopping at CalHR is the final decision.
Okay.
This is ridiculous that we pay our money, we grieve things, we have a viable issue. It's in the contract. But you get the people who's supposed to work for you, and they tell you, sorry, we're not going, yeah, you may have something, but we're not going to go and arbitrate it. We're not going to do that. We're stopping right here. And you can appeal it if you want to. But we're going to have a listening party like we did last time, December 2021. Everybody kicking it, just listen to you, because we're going to say what we're going to say. So this is what I'm telling everybody. You can't just let them have the last word. You have to know what to do, whether that's going to PERB, whether that's going to HR1, whether that's taken to Superior Court. Now, yes, it's a lot of work, but it's worth it. And we can make a change. Everybody's saying nobody's going to do anything, everybody's lazy. Yeah, but you tell 3 people, you did your job. All you got to do is tell 3 people, they tell 3 people, send them to Mr. Brown's website, sign petition. We all can make a change. Let's do this. Let's not let them take our voice, man. We can't do it. It's just bad for us altogether. Luke said it. Strike.
So,
You know what I'm saying? Let's get strike. Let's get a fund when it's time. When this contract rolls down and it's a wrap.
so let me.
We need to do what we need to do.
Okay, and thank you for calling in, Yolanda. I always give Yolanda Williams all the credit for the Essential Worker Premium Pay petition, all 17,000. And let me give credit to Evie for that action petition, because that took some courage to write that. And I always give people their respect for the work that they have done, because that's important. I always tell people, I don't steal people's ideas. If I ever take someone's idea, I never took it intentionally. And so I always want to acknowledge people, because it's not just me. And even though they try to tell people on Facebook, Richard thinks it's just about him, the union's more than just one person. Let me tell you something. When they tell you that, when you have someone that's sent from God to help you, yes, it's still we, but you have a very special person that was sent to help you. And if you don't realize it until the person is gone, in a lot of cases. I am to you and you are to me, and together we are Local 1000. We are Local 1000. As the man from the hardware store, Johnson's hardware store, told me years ago, we are Local 1000. And so me and Mr. Johnson, we get into it, we be arguing and stuff. But when he said, we, and when EB says, we, they're right. They're right. And even though sometimes, in our lives, we may have made mistakes, sometimes intentionally, sometimes not intentionally. There are no perfect people on earth. Sometimes we get married, sometimes we get divorced. Sometimes we look for love in America, sometimes we look for love in other countries. There are no perfect people out here. And so when you hear people on Facebook trying to discredit me and demoralize me, they will not win. Someone says if we go into the past of a lot of our represented employees of Local 1000, not just dues paying members, but a lot of us that work for the state of California, you're going to see a checkered past. But I thought in this great country, you got a second chance or a third chance, particularly if you moved out west. And we all know from the old days, people in the Midwest or the East, if they had trouble, they would run out west and try to start their lives over again, looking for a new life out west. It ain't just people from Mexico that run across the border illegally. We're not going to scapegoat those who cross the border illegally trying to feed their family. Because if the border needed to be secured, it would be secured. But they don't want the border secured, and they let people cross the border illegally so they can exploit them. Because those people can't join unions. Okay? All right. So I've been asking somebody go on Facebook to my page, and I want you to read off those questions from Irene Green. Does anybody on Zoom have those questions in front of them? Oh, you have it? Okay. So go ahead. Okay, Luke, you on it. All right, Luke. So read me the first question for Irene Green. You pick out the ones you want to see, that you want to read out, that you think are important. You pick them out.
Okay. Let's see. So maybe number 6 here.
Okay.
Why did Irene Green at the illegal board meeting on October 17, 2021 agree to being nominated and running for the chair of the Local 1000 Board of Directors and assume the powers of the Local 1000 president?
Because she wanted to be president.
How many votes did Irene Green get versus the LC 744 president?
All right. So someone can ask her that question. She won't answer it. She wanted to be the president. And if you look further down, you'll see how she feels about me. Now, I want to tell everybody this. I know Irene Green. She knows me. From my first day in state service, June 8th, 2009. A week before my 40th birthday. I know her. I have nothing personally against her. I like Irene. Irene likes me. But she doesn't like me being involved in the union. I'm going to tell y'all something. If she is your chief negotiator of your contract because they were able to successfully remove me, you don't have no contract coming. Okay? So, now listen to this. Hold on a second. Richard Wake, that's not a bargaining question. Tomorrow's about bargaining. Well, if that's not a contract question about bargaining, well, who's leading your bargaining? Your president of the union that was duly elected leads your bargaining. I'll answer any question about the next contract. So for her to go to the board meeting over the weekend and for her to vote along with the others to make her the chief negotiator of the contract, that's wrong. Because the people didn't vote for her to be the lead negotiator of the upcoming contract. People voted for me because I talked about money. She'll never tell you how much we're going to get. She'll never give you a straight answer. That's a guarantee. She'll never tell you the state of California is a 50-50 partner with us. She'll tell you that there are bosses. Or she'll try to talk around that. I'm sorry, go ahead. You see any other questions that you feel is important?
Yeah. You've got a couple here on strike fund. I think that's we can discuss that a little bit.
Yeah, we did.
So I think you should. I think you should address those.
Okay.
Because I don't think that the greatest of answers is once everybody knows what's there. Number 8. Does Irene Green know how much money is in the Local 1000 strike fund?
Let her tell you. Oh, I know how much is there. You should say, and whatever she says tomorrow night, if anybody from here on Facebook, when y'all speak to her tomorrow night, whatever she tells you, have her put it in an email and send it to you. See if she'll do it. She won't do it. Because you're going to hold her accountable for it. And make her give direct answers. Listen, this is how silly Richard Wake is. That's not voted on by members. The board decides that. No, the membership voted. And the policy file said that the president was the chief negotiator of the contract, Richard Wake, in 2021. What they did over the weekend, they have substantially changed the structure of a nonprofit mutual benefit corporation. The members did not vote for her to be the chief negotiator, Richard Wake. But this is the liar that Richard Wake is. This is the lie. So this is why they won't come on my videos. Strike fund, not a bargaining question. See, do you understand? The more he talks, the more you can see his mindset. And this guy used to be the DLC 767 president. The strike fund is not a bargaining question. Is he silly? See, this is the type of silliness that Darren Starr was talking about. I'm going to be professional tonight.
Yeah, bargaining is a small piece of the strategy.
When you talk about, that's not a bargaining question.
Outside of just our bargaining, which is an important thing we need to have.
Listen, he won't even... Hold on. No, wait a minute. He won't even acknowledge that you must talk about your strike fund because it's going to affect your bargaining. And if you're too afraid to talk about the strike fund, then that tells me that you have no intention on using your financial leverage that you talked about, Luke. See, this is the psyche of these individuals. This is their pathology of political poison.
It ain't psychology or pathology, President Brown. It's straight cowardice.
Okay. So, we're going to use the word coward. Since you brought up the word coward, Darren Starr, and since Richard Wake has called me a chicken and a coward, then it is appropriate that you say coward. So when you say coward, you're really referring back to the words that Richard Wake was talking and aiming towards me that I have in phone text. But what he was really saying is he's the chicken and the coward. In other words, that's his way of calling me a nigger. Okay? He's the chicken and the coward. He'll never come down to that building. He'll never come. He came on one call, and when I ate him up, he never came back on the call ever again.
He'll never put his paycheck on the line to help raise those from the bottom.
And
He's too much of a coward to wait through that to make sure this union succeeds.
Okay, I'll stop there. I'll stop right there. Darren, have the last word on that. Go ahead, Luke. Continue on.
Yeah, no, the motto is an injury to one is an injury to all. Again, that's
Yeah.
Let's see. I am curious of this one, number 10. Did Irene Green vote yes to go on strike in 2016, and did she have proof for yes vote?
Look, let her answer it. Because if she said yes, she voted yes, then what she's saying is she's calling Richard Wake a liar. That's what she's doing. If she says yes, I voted for the strike, then she's calling Richard Wake and the Richard Wakes out here liars. That's the first thing. And the second thing is, if she says she voted yes, prove it. Show me your vote. Let's see what she does. See, all my votes are up. See, I'm not going to ask you to put your life on the line without me first doing it. Because as a leader, I lead by example. So when I'm on Facebook, when I'm on YouTube, when I'm on Instagram, I'm coming at you, Richard Jarrell or Richard Lewis Brown. You don't have to guess. So when Darren says, we need people to put their lives on the line and be willing to fight, really for the custodians and for the I don't want to say the ladies, but for all those LVNs and RNs and all the other workers in CDCR. Okay? But these people are not willing to fight because they're comfortable, because they're afraid, because they live in fear. And when you live in fear, that tells me you have no faith in a higher power. And if you don't believe in a higher power, then that tells me you have no faith in yourself. You have a low self-esteem. And I don't want a person with a low self-esteem leading me. Because we all know, because we have some managers with low self-esteems that try to come across like they know what they're talking about, and they don't. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I've got a quick side question, something I was thinking about.
Yeah.
When this 2016 contract came through that was under Yvonne, did we voted to go on strike, or at least the threat of a strike. Do you remember by doing that, did that actually gain us some in our contract by doing that?
No. Because what?
It's already determined.
Yeah, because what the deal was, it was a front. She wanted to show that she was being strong, so she called for a strike. The strike vote came back yes. And then on December 5th, on that Monday, 2016, we were supposed to go on strike, but they called it off in the wee hours of the morning on, I want to say December 2nd, 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock in the morning. They never had any intention of going on strike. In fact, in 2009, this is where a lot of membership fell downhill. 2009, the union membership actually voted in favor of a strike authorization, but Yvonne still didn't want to go on strike because she felt that too many people were afraid to actually go on strike and she would be embarrassed. So when you're too afraid to try, when you're too afraid to fail, as someone has told me, you can't find an attorney, Richard, and you're just going to fail, do your own lawsuit. So sometimes you can't be afraid to fail. I failed in 2015, I failed in 2018. And so, yeah, and so Local 1000 didn't have any intention on going on strike. It was just a front. That's all.
Okay, so I imagine at that point there was no type of straight fight to support.
No.
I mean, as I've been reading too, a critical piece too is if you're talking about human rights committees and the fact that a lot of those kind of distract from our main functions of the union. What I've seen in the past is one of the most important committees that we should be discussing is a strike committee, where we can just be focused on that, on how we go about planning for that type of activity.
Well, remember,
part of that is ensuring that we are making sure that the funds and support for our workers when they decide to do that.
Hold on a second. I talked to wait.
No, yeah, if I'm saying too much.
No. Hold on. Hey, Luke. Yeah. I talked about the strike and how we're going to raise more money in the budget the presentation for the budget in 2021 in December. Remember that? A lot of people don't remember. I talked about growing the numbers and they said, oh, your numbers are made up. And then I was told by somebody on the board that once they try to remove me from office, they have that emergency board meeting and the same numbers that I had, they used again. Okay? But here, I'm going to take a deeper. I'm sorry, go ahead, Darren.
When we talk about also, you brought up a really good point. The state, okay, when you talk about numbers, you talk about membership. The state knows we're playing games. Because the state knows that we don't have a strike fund. The state knows they have us, quote unquote, over a barrel every single time they walk into the negotiation room.
Hold on a second. Stop right there. Hold on 1 second, because you jumped me on this, Darren. Luke, you should ask the union how much money was in the strike fund in 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020. Because Darren, before I took office on June 30th, after being sworn in on June 27th, 2021, mysteriously, there was money put into the strike fund. Mysteriously. And that's why, Luke, those questions for Irene Green, it talks about the money in the strike fund and how much has it gone up monthly. I know what I'm talking about. But Darren's right. The state's laughing. And listen, Darren, even if we had $10 million in the strike fund, they wouldn't use it. They'd say they don't have enough money to pay everybody.
But they have money for Norway.
And you know what, everyone? What Evie just said about Norway. Listen, a lot of people are really upset. And Luke, if you're able to talk to Irene Green tomorrow night, she went to Norway. No one knew about that. I didn't know until recently. She went to Norway. So they're doing all this stuff on behalf of the union on your money. You can best believe those credit cards that the VPs carry. And here's the other thing. They talk about my financial malfeasance and all this and that. When I became president, I ensured that the VPs had their credit cards with the full $5,000 credit limit. And I didn't ask them how they were spending money either. So when they said I'm bullying people and I didn't want to work with people, that's an absolute lie. Those VPs were giving their credit cards. They were giving their credit cards the full $5,000. Yvonne Walker didn't give the MTC VPs the credit card with the full money. I don't care what Annika Walsh tells you. She's lying and she tells you that they did. Because they didn't. Here's the other thing. When they went to Norway, you can best believe those credit cards were being used. When have you seen the credit card statements put up since the November when I had them put up when they said I was out of control and I spent $3,000 at the baseball for black men? They're never going to put up credit card statements ever again. If they do, they'll scrub out the stuff that they did that looks questionable. I'm just telling you these things. So when you have these type of leaders and they're saying they're fighting for you, did you see Irene Green come to the Lassen rally and come up to the stage? At least Annika put on the front. She faked it because she had to fake it because she was always up there asking for their votes to help her win election in 2018 and 2021. Of course, Sophia Perkins was there because she was asking for the votes with Annika in Lassen County. But Irene Green, she didn't come to that Lassen rally to fight for those jobs. No, she didn't. She doesn't care about people keeping their jobs. As long as she's got hers, that's all that matters. Y'all think that I'm lying, but I'm not. I know more stuff about Irene. I just don't want to say it yet. But it's coming. It's coming. When I tell you I'm for you and your family and your money, take that. Don't take it to the bank. Take that to your mattress. As your grandmother or great-grandmother would tell you. Because if they went through the Great Depression, they didn't trust the banking system. I wonder why.
Oh, if I can just mention
hold on. Hey, I see Timothy Bolter. Tim, thank you so much for helping me. And we talked earlier, I know you're a proud Republican, and we're trying to get our union to come together, Democrat or Republican. We are trying. And I want Tim to know that. So go ahead, Luke.
I was just going to say that we've got a lot of great, well-spoken, well-thought-out people who are devoted to this union. I just feel like it's important that we continue to stay in touch with each other, and even if that means needing to create some sort of independent group to be able to stay in touch and talk strategy.
That's right.
I think that's another ploy by the union is they just sort of get these interspersed people kind of throwing out ideas, and they're great, but our power comes when we actually work together and strategize together. So any way we can do that, prove that, is going to help us support you, Richard.
You know what, Luke, and I deeply appreciate that. Thank you for reading off some of those quick questions. Because she has the questions ahead of time, so she can get the answers now. All right, so we'll go to Evie, and then we're going to shut this thing down. Go ahead, Evie.
Thank you, President Brown. One of the things that people forget, and I know you don't like to bring it up much. I asked you about that in the past, and I know how you're trying to keep people together as much as possible. And this subject probably would really ignite a lot of people. However, I think it's important that people understand and remember who they're dealing with. I'm not one that really plays the black-white thing.
Okay.
I do acknowledge it though. And I think it's important that people acknowledge the fact that there was an individual who calls himself our chairperson, who called you a name that I don't wish to bring up at this time. But I really hope that people who say that they are against racism are truly putting some action behind their words. Because when I found out, when you finally admitted why you were saying that it is about race and about your experience with this individual and what he called you, that really hurt my heart. Because for me, it started to make sense why an individual or individuals allow him to do things that they said you did. He's done them. He's done illegal things repeatedly and continues to do illegal things. And people who sit on the board not only tolerate it, but clap when he does it. He's breaking the law, and yet they say nothing. So I really hope that those individuals who say, I'm not racist, and why are we talking about race, and so forth, I'm not racist, so I don't want to hear about racism. But when you stand back and allow it to happen, then you're just as guilty. You need to speak up, because whether or not you believe that Bill Hall called our president the N-word, whether or not you believe that you should at least demand an answer, demand somebody look into it. Don't just gloss over it, because it happened. It's just like when women were too scared to come up and say, before the Me Too movement, they were scared, frightened to come up and say what happened to them, because they knew that the backlash was coming. And that's exactly what's happening now. When our president finally had the courage to say, you know what, forget it, I'm just going to say what happened. He called me the N-word. And people are like, oh, no, it didn't happen. It didn't happen. It didn't happen. How do you know it didn't happen? Why are there's no outrage? Nobody's even saying anything about it. And that hurts my heart, that we have a union that's not a union. We have a group of people who say that they're fighting for what's right and what's righteous, but they keep their mouths shut when something like this happens. Why is the Sacramento Bee not speaking up about it? They want to speak about stupid stuff. Call us a posse because we went and we picketed for our rights. Now we're a posse. Saying our rights are being squashed, and you called us a posse. Sacramento Bee, shame on you. Shame on you. Because the first thing you should have done was ask the hard-hitting questions. Well, Bill Hall, what happened and why? Look into it. Look at the facts. He broke and is breaking the law. And people are silent. That's how things like the Holocaust happen. People just look the other way. And then later on they said, oh, I didn't know. Thank you, President Trump.
You're very welcome. So, EB's right. I don't tell people what to say or what to think. And I've had agreements and had arguments with everybody on this Zoom, maybe except for Mario, and on Facebook. I tense up when someone says the Holocaust. The Holocaust. Because that's a very strong word. But that's how EB feels. So when people say, you know, Richard, did Bill Hall really call you that? The answer is yes. Can I prove it? It was on a one-on-one. When people say, well, are you sure? Yes, I'm absolutely sure. And because he felt so strong about it, when I became president, this is why he knew he would never tolerate that he would never work underneath me as a DLC president. When I was told to suck a dick and eat a dick, nobody said anything. Even when Zach B ran the article, did they really go after Teresa Taylor and Anna Marie Taylor? Or Anne Marie Taylor, her daughter? No. Did they ever call them a posse? Remember what Teresa Taylor said? I probably shouldn't have said that. Probably. Did she ever try to reach out and say, hey, Richard, I'm sorry? No, she was too busy working with Bill Hall to have the illegal board meeting on October 16th and 17th of 2021. Instead of them coming and sitting down and talking to me and saying, hey, look, we want to work with you, but we're opposed to your platform. When we could have talked about it out in the open with the video camera on. But they don't respect me as a black man. Which raises the question, did they ever respect Yvonne Walker? They did not. And sometimes the things that Yvonne did, she did to protect herself. Because she knew the people she was working with were racist. But she's a type of African American, she's not going to act a certain way. She's too dignified. She's too proper. She's too professional. And they hated that about her like they hated things about Barack Obama. But not all black people lead the same way. And when black people act in that manner of professionalism, they're trying to imitate their European counterparts, European Americans, white people, Caucasians. I'm not trying to imitate Caucasians because I'm not from Europe. I'm from Africa. Now, I'm an Americanized African, but I'm still from Africa. And so I talk with a different tone. And if I talk kind of fast, please forgive me. If I talk kind of loud and excited, I'm not mad, I'm not angry. Please forgive me. That's my passion coming out. That's how I'm communicating. You know, someone said, Richard, why are they trying to run you out so quickly? Remember, when I received the email from Bill Hall saying, I'm trying to take everything from you, have a special board meeting, and they never had enough of the board petition me for a special board meeting, even though what they were doing was illegal anyway. It was like 37, I want to say it was 37 working days after June 30th, my first day. I can't make this up if I got my count right. 37 working days. 7437. Remember, I took office on June 30th. That's your 3 plus 3 added together the month of June. And then 30. These numbers mean something. And there's power in numbers. And there's power in people when they work together and say that we can overcome anything we put our minds to. And as I'm just going to say it, as Evie has told me, I don't want to hear that negativity. I don't want to hear you tell me what we can't do. If I want to hear what we can't do, Richard, I can go to CDCR to my workplace and hear that. She's right. She's right. Don't tell me what we can't do. Tell me what we are going to do to win this victory. Someone said, well, it may be a little too late. Oh, no, it's never too late to do the right thing. It's never too late to have justice. It's never too late to fight for what is right. No matter if it's in America or in Iran or in any country. So I wrote down this little scripture. Of course, it's Matthew 21. I didn't plan it like that. It just showed up like that. I know y'all think I'm crazy, but I'm telling you, it just showed up like that. And I always laugh and say, you know, if you believe in Christianity, if you don't, then don't worry about this. If you believe that Jesus is the Son of God, or if he's just saying he's a great prophet, I'm just going to roll with you. I'm not going to argue with you because I'm not going to try to convince you how I believe. You keep your beliefs, I'll keep mine, and we both hope to see the afterlife. He caught the attitude about the money handlers in his father's house. Now, he's been calm, cool, collective, done all kinds of stuff. The Pharisees, Sadducees was going at him 100 miles an hour. He kept his bearing, kept his professionalism. The devil tried him, kept his professionalism. But he copped the attitude when it came to money in his father's house. Copped the attitude. Now, if I'm wrong, if he copped the attitude somewhere else in the New Testament, someone please text me and let me know. But he copped the attitude about the money in his father's house because they were doing that money lending, loan sharking, hustling with the money. The money upset Jesus. So as JP said, Richard, you're dangerous because you're upsetting. I say the status quo. What she's saying is you're upsetting the money. And so they got to get you up out of here. It doesn't help that you're black, Richard. I know. So I'm upsetting the money because I'm trying to get you paid money, a lot of money for a period of time. And I'm trying to be on term limits. 2 terms. I want to finish this term and I want to run again. This is why they want to, quote, bar me from re-election. Not just bar me, take me off the board of directors through the lawsuit with Bill Hall in the Sacramento Superior Court. They want to, through the HR 1, kick me out of the union, take away my membership so I can never run for office again. Here's how they get caught in their own lies. They say, Richard, you just got lucky because all these people ran for office. You just got lucky. First of all, that's not my problem. You say luck, I say God's will, my destiny. Y'all should have worked together. Where is your strategy? Y'all too busy fighting among yourselves. So you let me come through, okay? But then you say, if I'm so lucky, then why are you so afraid of me that I can run again and win again? Because I got a track record to run off of fighting for Laskin County, fighting against the COVID mandatory vaccination, fighting for you. In that arbitration process that has let Yolanda Williams down, I was getting ready to straighten all that out. See, that was coming. I was coming. You pay your money to the union, grieve it through arbitration. They say, well, it doesn't look like we're going to win. Then why am I paying you my money? I should have kept my money and hired a private attorney. I wasted my time with Local 1000. And no one wants to waste your money. If you want someone to waste your money, you got a spouse? Got a girlfriend, boyfriend? You got some kids? You got family members? Boy, you got some qualified people to waste your money. Oh, yes, you do. But you don't want Local 1000 wasting your money. No, you don't. No, you don't. And that's why I came. That's why I was sent. I'm not going to steal your money. I'm going to fight every day as hard as I possibly can to get you as much money as possible. I didn't put this question for the questions for Irene Green. 5.11 dignity clause. Are they going to remove where Cal HR is the final decision maker? Are they going to say that dignity can go through arbitration? No, they won't. Are they going to remove words like, we shall make the attempt? What kind of garbage is that? We shall, which means you will. But then they say, make the attempt. So they took the force out of the shall by saying the attempt. So that's no different than I'm saying, if I had a girlfriend, I'd say, well, I shall make the attempt to make sure I respect my girlfriend. So I made the attempt, but I still failed. That's stupidity. And then you wonder why the state looks at Local 1000 and laughs at you. You got a signed contract, and then you're dumb enough to give up your money? Well, under a signed contract, I'll keep taking from you and taking from you over and over and over again because I'm a donkey. That's stupid. It's not very professional for me to say that, but it's stupid. Then you don't need a union if you're not going to have guaranteed wages and job security for a period of time. Because if the state can come and take your money and take your job whenever you want, then the only thing you need is your pension. And then the state will decide about your pension, which they're already deciding about your pension through CalPERS. But CalPERS is hustling so much in that pension fund, and they got so much status, so much privilege that they don't want to get rid of it. Because if they could figure out how to make yourself a 401k and not give you a pension, they would. They would. But they want that guaranteed money from you. Because if they make it a 401k and it's your option to contribute, you won't contribute to the state's 401k. You'll do your own 401k with somebody else. I've never said that on video, Luke Cerna. That's why I tell people, you watch at the beginning of my video, and I'm just, then watch in the middle, and then watch at the end. I'm giving key stuff in the first, the middle, and the end. Now, it's not my fault this video ran this long. And people say, I can't afford to watch you for that long. Well, that's fine. You could have watched the very beginning. You could have watched the middle, or you could have watched the very end. But everybody that comes on this video that says all that powerful stuff, because each one of you represent a certain faction of voters. That's how important what you say means to me and means to everyone else. All right, I see a hand raised. We'll let this person talk, and then we're going to shut it down. So go ahead, Mo, go ahead, sir, or ma'am. Okay, I see your hand raised, Mo. Did you want to say anything? Okay, so maybe they had their hand raised by accident. So we're going to shut this down. I'm asking everyone to take action. Okay, I see the hand raised again. Go ahead, Mo. Mo. Okay, so we're going to shut this down. We're asking people to take...
I'm sorry, that's me, Maureen. I didn't mean to raise my hand.
Oh, okay, no problem. So we're gonna shut this down. You gotta take action. You wanna file a perm because they're trying to remove your president? Go ahead. We've been patient long enough. We have been patient long enough with this HR1 process. It's 9 months. The baby's here. Time to make action. Okay? If you feel like you need to file an HR1, you've been patient for 9 months. They are right now scheming to have that board meeting to remove me from office in secrecy. Everything they're doing is illegal. Trust me, it is. When have I lied to you? You saw the text from Anna and Teresa Taylor. You heard them call me what a dick on August 11th, 2021 on the video, Denise Quinn Allen. She said, what a dick. And she thought she was, quote, off the mic. You heard Monica Blancarte call me a motherfucker in November of 2021. Or did y'all forget? I didn't. When somebody calls you a motherfucker, you have a tendency to, quote, kind of remember, you know? Frank Askin called me numbnuts years ago. I forgave him for that. Call me a motherfucker, I'll get around to it. Tell me to suck a dick, I'll get around to forgiving you. Calling me a nigger, pray for me. I'm far from perfect. You need to pray for me. Continually in prayer with joyful hopefulness for the future. All right. It's been fun. I may do another video this week. Stay tuned. And I may do it just live on Facebook. I may not do a Zoom, or I may do a Zoom and Facebook at the same time. Stay tuned, because you never know what I'm going to do next. You never know what's coming. You all know about the $12 million lawsuit because they failed to indemnify me. Does it stop there? Does that one lawsuit stop? Oh, they got the right one. They picked the right person to mess with. Usually when Local 1000 tries to destroy somebody, the person gives up after 2 or 3 months. They usually give up. I don't think they counted on Timothy Bolter and a few other people, along with some people here on this Zoom. I don't think they counted that we're going to fight. We're going to fight. And we're not going to give up. And someone said, Richard, just fake it till you make it. I don't like to fake anything because I'm not a faker. I'm Richard the Real. Remember, that's how I campaign. What you see is what you get 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. And why is that 24 hours a day, 7 days a week? Why is that so important? Because 24 plus 7 is 31. That's all the days you can get in a month, if I'm correct. If I'm correct. If you take 3 days off of that 31, what do you get? 28. That's the shortest amount of days you can get in a month on the second go around. Keep laughing at me. I'm going to keep coming. We will not lose. We will not be defeated. Trust me on this. There's more action to come. Thank you, Luke Cerna, for emailing the whole board by going to my website and copying all those emails. I know 1 or 2 emails are kind of bad, and then I had to make an adjustment because I didn't have a semicolon in there. So thank you for your patience with that. We're not done, everyone. We're going to keep fighting. We're going to keep fighting. We're going to get this done, but it's going to take sacrifice. Mwah! Okay, we're out. We're done. December 7th, 2022, I'm Richard Lewis Brown. Stay tuned, because there's more action coming. There we go. There we go, everyone. Good night, everybody. Good night, Zoom.